Nearly every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing.
Me?
Want you to smoke the natural herb.
Sweet.
Some call it marijuana.
Sweet.
Some call it sensimilla.
Sweet.
Some call it lamb's bread.
The tea.
And some people call it...
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I'm your host, Adam Dunn.
What? I'm Dave.
And it's Halloween, guys. That's why we are not looking normal, as you'd imagine. And J-Lo, of course.
Look at J-Lo dressed.
She's invisible.
Look what she's wearing.
Her and Vinny are both dressed up as the invisible people. Vinny's
Nice.
doing it, but he's not in front of a green screen, so it's not really working very well. But did you check it out? Did you check out the green screen? Did it work? Oh, you're there. Oh, yeah, you are disappeared. I see. Oh, it is green screen.
We're all disappeared.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even notice. And we got live people on this dead day. On this dead day.
It's not really Halloween yet, man.
It is. It is.
It's
this
pretty
is one
much.
of those weekends. This is the best. This is like a critically good one because you start on, like it's on a Monday, so you just fucking party from Thursday to fucking Monday till Tuesday, pretty much, right?
Yeah, right. Halloween's a party.
Oh, it
party.
is.
Party.
Come on, it is the
Yeah,
it is the only one that will force me to go out of my house and go do shit. Compared to any other, like Christmas, I mean, I push it off to the very last second, of course. Halloween, though, it's like October 1st. Let's go do this. Like, let's go. And
That's the way my kids are. They're really into this. I mean, really, they got the whole out. They're like hoping, please don't snow, please don't snow, please don't snow. And looking like it's not going to show. Well, welcome.
So we have
to
two
the show.
illustrious
Legends
in the local sphere here in
The
Colorado.
reason why we're sitting here, being
Able to do what we're
partake in legal cannabis.
Exactly.
And not have the fucking man kick the door in, or if he did right now, we have representation.
Oh, we're going
right
really
now.
good. But this would be the best time for them to kick the door in. We'd be like, perfect, guys. You couldn't have picked a better time.
I don't think Brian's mic is on.
Check out his mic. He's got to go closer, maybe. We got Brian Vicente to my right.
Hi, everybody.
And we have Mason Tvert to my left. Hello. Welcome, guys.
The most mispronounced name in the industry. Both of them.
Yep. Yes, and they're not very good at costumes either because still good. But right in front of them, they're like looking at him like,
What he came as the get her done guy.
I'm all about the costumes, but I wasn't aware it was a costume contest. So.
Oh yeah, well the contest is tomorrow at Bar Turf Town. It's going down hard. Oh, you're so lame.
Mark won't be here.
Wait, who's
took off
DJing?
last
Who's
week.
DJing? Who's DJing for us?
I think Alan's still going to come down.
Oh, good. Thank God.
So I will hopefully, if not, Telly's going to do it.
Telly can come.
Yeah,
there
Telly
you go.
will come, yeah.
Perfect.
A real DJ.
Oh,
sweet.
Oh, the
You have to
pain.
bring all your
Mark, you look amazing. Your costume.
Oh, thank you, dude. Yeah.
costume is
Because they fed him well.
I'm
when he almost
glad
got-
Adam Dunn is still here in some way, shape, or form. Yes.
No, you did good. It was funny because I grabbed my beard and I took my beard and I made it into like first I made it into a mask when it was mask time because I figured fuck it, Wow. And so I had the mask and I had the hat and I was like I could bring these because someone's gonna want to dress up like me. But then you already did it, so you did a good job.
Here's the glue beard.
The best
You
one.
want to know what
There's the glue beard. Yeah.
Wow.
the running joke is? That's not his beard. Okay? You know what it's made out of. I need not say anymore.
Curly hairs,
right?
Every week I harvest them weekly. The best one, and I don't know if I could find the photo. I have to look for it somewhere. But D Money dressed up like Nick T back in the day at the Hood Lab. That was the fucking best. Vinny's gonna find it somewhere because it's definitely in Derek's. It's in Derek's Instagram somewhere. But that was the best because it was like so on point. And you know how Nick T is. He wasn't laughing. Put it that way. Oh, here she comes.
Tina Turner.
Tina Turnup.
Oh,
Tina
Jeannie.
Turnup. Oh, Genie in a bottle.
Oh, damn.
Guys, Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera. You have sparkles all over you.
I know.
Yeah.
Feeling sparkly.
Sparkle. Oh, I had brought this in case you didn't have anything because I figured this was all up your alley.
Oh,
And
God,
every
I love
time
that.
you guys
Can I
stare,
wear
you
that?
throw
You can wear
$5 in
whatever
the
you want.
cup.
Yeah, you got your hair all
You owe 15 already, Vicente.
Maybe at like
You're gonna double down.
Patreon.
You're gonna double. Oh yeah, Patreon. There you go. For Patreon listeners later.
That's all I'll wear.
You're going to be able to get your headphones on that?
You're gonna ruin your hair. Oh,
Oh, no.
Gosh.
Well-
Never wore it up.
welcome J-Lo.
How many comments were they on where J-Lo was?
Nobody cares.
The first one says, "I
Oh.
dream a genie."
Ooh.
Oh, they got it right.
She doesn't even know what that is. She's just like
She's never seen the show.
she's like, I dream of who?
I used
like-
to watch reruns
You
of
never
all that
watched
stuff,
the
like
show,
Nick
did
at
you?
Night
Of
and all that
course
stuff.
I did.
I was
She
a
came
Nick
out
at
of
Night
the
kid.
shower.
Anyways,
Shower? She
Yeah.
had her own. She lived in the bottle.
Just kidding.
You're making Mason uncomfortable.
Sorry, Mason.
Donna Lee.
Sorry,
To you.
guys. Sorry, gentlemen.
Oh, no, trust me. Let her have. Wait, where's her clams?
Yeah, where are my clams?
They're right behind you.
Pulling her my clam.
Clam alert.
Anyways.
So
Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
What's on the agenda for you guys? Did you have any topics you wanted to talk about? Since we know that you're not in favor of on our position of 122, we're just going to completely skip over that without having to debate you guys because you're too seasoned.
no,
You'd
we're gonna
crush
go.
us.
We're gonna go into that later.
Oh, yes,
we're
we
gonna
will.
find out now what's really going down in this canna world because Colorado's always the bubbling pot of weird ideas, and sometimes they're not the best ones. So hopefully you guys are spearheading them and saying, "Nah, bad, good." What,
Yeah.
what is the future for Colorado right now?
Sure. Well, I mean, we're celebrating a pretty awesome milestone right now, which is the 10-year anniversary of Amendment 64, when Colorado became the first place in the history of the world
That's
to
right.
legalize cannabis. Mason and I ran that campaign.
That was
So
awesome.
November
Thank
6th
you so
will be
much.
the 10-year anniversary. Yeah. So
Right.
that's pretty remarkable. A decade. We're now 10 years old.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of-
And that moment was pretty interesting because we had our little thing at the Hood Lab, and everybody was just like, "Oh my God, it's happening!" And it was just, I moved back 2 years prior, or before that, so I was like, for the once in my life, I actually bet on the right fucking horse. You know what I mean? I was like, really? I'm in the right state at the right time, and it really felt special. And it was interesting because I always say on the show that every time a new state comes on board, that the honeymoon period is way shorter. Like it used to be. Like here, we had years of like still feeling like we were in the middle of it all, And then if you go to a new state, they get like maybe a year if they're lucky, 6 months. Now it's getting closer, like because people just keep looking for the next thing,
Yep. So,
And I think a lot of it has to do with the growing. I think that's what it comes down to. It's like new state means open, a little bit more open rule, So it's a little more like it was 2010, 2012 here, and then it slowly gets whittled away.
yeah, it's become more mainstream. We now have 19 states, including Colorado, with legal cannabis, and we'll be voting on 5 more in 2 weeks. Right? A bunch of states.
What states are those?
That's both the Dakotas. And
Wow,
then we
that's been a long time.
got North and South.
Gary Johnson was on the show 6 days after they said we're moving forward. He goes something to the effect of, "Can you believe it? South Dakota."
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's more cows than people there. And then Maryland, Missouri, and Arkansas. So pretty wide.
Huge.
So it's the M's
Range.
and the D's.
And so conservative.
Yeah, a lot of Republican states. So we'll see what happens. We're feeling pretty good about them.
But how do we reconcile the fact that we still have people that think that Biden's little gesture of pardoning everyone for federal possession is not any more than what it was, which is a complete bullshit stunt?
I would say I completely disagree with that. I think it's one of the most momentous occasions in cannabis policy history. It's the most powerful political leader in the world acknowledging that it was wrong to punish people for using cannabis and
The statement was
directing the head of every state to look into doing the same. The president really doesn't have a whole lot that they can do.
right.
Couldn't he just reschedule?
No, not necessarily. I mean, there's a very, very vigorous debate amongst very smart people on both sides about whether the executive branch can unilaterally reschedule or deschedule, or whether it takes a legislative act of Congress. But regardless, I mean, the fact is, when you don't like someone's position and they change it, you can't still be pissed at them.
I'm not.
Awesome.
Maybe I came across. I'm not pissed at him. I'm pissed at the gesture. I thought that I would have rather seen them honor their campaign promise and let everybody out, deschedule, because that's what Kamala Harris said. She said under a Biden-Harris administration, they would reschedule cannabis, and they didn't. And so that's why I felt like it was more of a
he directed the agency that would be in charge of reviewing this to review it. I think that you're just kind of
I think the problem was it came down to like when we were like, oh wow, that sounds so major, and then you were like, so how many people are we talking about? And it was like, oh well, actually nobody really, because there's only a few cases that are federally, like people in jail for possession federally. It doesn't exist. Like,
it wasn't about jail. I mean, possession doesn't typically result in jail. It's about criminal records, and he wasn't doing it. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, we're letting so many people out of jail. It was.
But I mean, that's kind of what people had in their minds. I think more.
I think that's why
more than the expunging of the records, because I mean, those things are like at this point, I think people with cannabis are like. I mean, it is holding people back for sure, but it's also like there's a lot more employers. There's a lot more employers who are just like, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? It was weed. We're going to look over that. But it's only if you're trying to get into court. You're trying to get into corporate.
Or you're
thing.
trying to get an apartment and there, rent, and you're trying to buy a house, or you live in any other state than Colorado or the other, 18 where it's legal. I mean,
Now, I recognize your position. That I wasn't really considering it from the leader of the free world, saying that I was seeing it as, from my gut tells me what it comes off as a very hollow gesture. But now that I see what you're saying, it's kind of still a hollow gesture, but I can really see the impact.
Can we talk about
stage.
Can we talk about when these things? I feel like there's a lot of pros and cons to when you can potentially have these things decriminalized, and like say cannabis, honestly, by going recreational. Like I see the market now, not even 10 years later, completely tanking, right? Like everybody raced to the bottom with these $100 ounces, and now we're fucked because now we have like a $400 pound, right? Like with $600 testing and like all this other stuff, excluding your overhead. And like, so I think it's strange to me that like you get punished if you try to do it legally by the government, whether that's taxes or them doing these casual inspections, but they're like not casual. Is you get fined for really petty.
What you're describing is the experience that you go through if you sell vegetables for a living, or if you sell orange juice for a living, or if you sell any consumable product in.
I don't think so, because parts per billionth isn't really actually used in like food or agriculture.
Well, they put us on such a like tight rope of a situation where like. Take tobacco, for instance. Zero testing ever. Never in the history of tobacco has there ever had a test ever even applied to it, because they don't have to. And we have to test from this building to that building, from that building to this building, from
1,000 feet from a school,
from this place to that place. So at the end of the day, you're like, this is really weird that we are getting so
the big problem
heavily
is that cannabis is
regulated.
illegal federally, and so there's no standards with regards to what pesticides are safe for use. And now, as a result, the state has to create its rules around that.
But the thresholds are like so ridiculous. They're to the point of like, are you kidding me right now? Because like where then you look at food, 100 times the same value, and you're like, wait a minute, this is what people are eating.
It's definitely
this.
problematic, but at the same time, I will say that there are a lot of people selling disgusting shit.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
And
it's cleaned up. I mean, it's definitely cleaned the situation up. You look 10 years ago. I mean, it's like if I watch a video of somebody doing a dab from 10 years ago, I'm like, stop! What are you doing? Don't do it! Poop soup!
Yeah.
No! And so we've all become much more refined in our understanding it. But when it gets, we're just under as a grower, it's really rough, because it's like one of those things where, what Dave was saying earlier, it's the 6 plant 2 ounce mentality of somebody writing that, like how it's so illogical. It makes no sense. It's like, so you really want us to be bad growers? Is that what you're trying to say? You want us to grow 1/10 of a gram per plant? Like, it doesn't make sense. So somebody who actually put that ruling.
That's for personal cultivation. If you want to grow it for other people,
that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about personal.
Licensed, much like if you want to produce food for other people, you need to go through a regulatory process.
But
So
even
parts-
I can grow 2
the
ounces, more than 2 ounces from 6 plants, and I'm a shitty grower.
But it just puts everybody
Food
in a weird position.
marijuana.
Like, it kind of like it makes you into a criminal instantly because you grew plants. even
How
though
many
it's legal.
people? How many people have been arrested for possession of
I don't know. Probably the same amount of people that got
Possession of
federally
tomatoes?
arrested for possession in the end.
virtually none? I
You
mean,
know, so-
cannabis is legal
For
for
cannabis?
adults.
Arrested for
did.
cannabis? I've been
She has-
arrested.
she's been arrested like
4 or
100
5
times.
for
She's-
cannabis in the
Since
state of
2012?
Colorado.
This
Since
week.
2012, for sure. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, she's-
2012 was my first poppin' year.
What were you doing wrong?
Absolutely
Look at her. Look at her.
nothing.
Look at her.
Like, have you
Personal.
not heard who my attorney is? The guard dog. Like, I am innocent. Just kidding. No, it's like Colorado.
Jeff's a
So, for
regular.
instance, with that, is I got a DUI when I didn't smoke, right? And I wasn't under the influence of cannabis, but I tested at 4 nanograms, which my attorney said that I would test way over based on what I was smoking. And I was a head grower at the time. We just harvested. I left in a snowstorm. My headlight was out on my Jeep. And it was 8:30 at night,
Sound
and
like
the
a country
cop
song.
said, and it was March of the year 2013, so July 1st is when it went in effect at 5 nanograms that you would be over the legal limit for cannabis. 2014 is the year that they introduced recreational cannabis, and so that was their little way of reinforcement. So I tested below the legal limit, and I had my medical card, I had my badge, I was a manager, they proved I was sober, all these things, and I still got charged because they said they wanted to make an example out of me
Wow.
and that I had to accept it for what it was. And yeah, the attorney said that if I had 20 grand on the spot, he could get me out of it. I swear this is a true story. And
Who's your attorney? Are we allowed to name names here? No.
I wish I could. But guard dog knows him. But yeah, so, like it's still rough in Colorado. I hate to say it, but people have passed it off like you don't get in trouble here. I've been in trouble countless times here.
So here's let me say I can
Shining
accept
example.
new information. You know what I mean, and I appreciate your position. I suppose I'm coming from the position. I still read less than a year ago. Somebody was driving in Alabama. They had kids with them. There was cannabis in the trunk of their car, but they didn't have any in their bloodstream. They were just driving through the state. That kid is still a ward of the state of Alabama.
Wow.
They haven't seen their kid yet. So when taking that position would have meant that kid wouldn't have had to gone through that trauma if they would have just rescheduled. Or
Yeah.
rescheduled
Well,
when
and if they
took
were in
office.
Colorado, they couldn't have their kid taken away because it wouldn't have been a crime. So
What state was that in?
Alabama.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Did you guys just
That
hear
answered
about
that question right there.
that recent case that happened in May? But this woman just got charged with murder for her
Oh, that was
4-year-old
that was
child
crazy. Now,
with
I feel silly
edibles?
talking about this
with
stuff wearing this
edibles
fucking
of
thing on my
just.
head.
It's just like
Delta 8 and
That was Delta 8, right? Yeah, exactly. And that's another one of those things that we are 100% against all this. Anything artificial.
we're
artificial.
working quite a bit on it.
Yeah, and I mean, Colorado Colorado's one of the few states that actually took a stance early and kind of. But
Were you
it's
guys
still,
working
you can
on
still
that?
sell it. You can still sell it, right? But you can't manufacture it. Is that the case?
Yeah,
It's kind of a little-
It's very essentially there just aren't a lot of very clear rules.
I mean, there's no reason for people in Colorado to even want to buy it
When they
because
have-
it's like you have a plethora of choices
Delta 9
here.
is here. Yeah.
You know,
But the question is whether there's people that want to sell it to women in Virginia who then leave it sitting out and their kid eats the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is like whenever you talk about like spice and all these other synthetic things, they're like way stronger and way more there's a lot of unknowns. A lot of stuff's coming from China, from these
would
labs.
this kill a child? Like I'm thinking about
What?
this 4-year-old child, right? Like I'm thinking about this.
Well, the Delta
size.
8 is
It's really
I'm
difficult
thinking
to know
about Delta
because
8, like
Get you
100
high.
milligrams.
get you high.
it could. I mean, so
Jeez.
number one, there's no real way to know exactly what was the true cause of their death. Like
Diabetes.
And that's to say, like, could it? I mean,
Rapid onset
the
diabetes
idea,
from
like Delta 8 certainly.
Madeline.
I mean, if they hadn't consumed that, seemingly they would not have died. But did the kid have like a certain like malformation of their heart or some other conditions? Typically, when people have like a serious reaction to cannabis,
but
whether
4
it's
is really
like
small,
people
too.
who have a heart response or high blood pressure,
Something
or
actually.
it's an underlying condition that is triggered by cannabis, and not that like an otherwise healthy person who takes cannabis is going to just die from it. So, but at the same time, I mean, if you're talking about a kid taking 100 milligrams at a time. And then when it comes to Delta 8, I mean, who's to know what was in that shit?
But it's and that's the problem, is that now it's going to get lumped in with cannabis as just a cannabis product, and everybody say, "Oh, it's cannabis," but it's not. I mean,
it should be lumped in with spice. It's a synthetic. It is not.
Well, Delta 8's not a synthetic.
Well, it's not. It's a synthetic. Well, the process is not natural. That's the problem. It's
the process is not natural.
It can never be produced.
There's a synthetic would be something that is
completely completely artificial. But still the THCO is also another problem, and that's even like more intense. You know what I mean? That's like focused intensity, and that stuff. I've seen people like Vinny had 4 of them the other day. He thought they were CBD, and he was like on the floor. You know what I mean? And it's like, whoa, there goes somebody. And he eats edibles all the time, so it was kind of like, and he didn't read. He was like, oh, THCO, and then he starts looking it up, and it's like, if you can't even dab the shit, you know what I mean? You don't even want to, you don't like. There's lethal doses of dabbing it, so it's like that's not what we need to have in it all in the system, and it does fuck everything up.
Yeah, really I mean, ultimately, just to go back to the synthetic thing, I mean, because you guys clearly are cool with dabs. I mean, dabs they're not synthetic. It's obviously coming from the plant, but it's not just naturally occurring in that form. I mean, it's being turned into
distilled,
that. And that's the same situation with Delta 8. The problem is that the processes that people are going through to produce this and to do this stuff, or especially when you're converting like CBD into THC, they have byproducts.
Yeah.
And they result in all sorts of other chemical reactions that people just don't know enough about yet.
Right.
When we
when they combust too, it's even more reaction. So it's like there's like layers of it there. You got layers and layers of unknowns.
We have Dr. Mark Scaldone on the show, and he will literally put a hit on you if you if you disagree with him on Delta 8, because he is so against it. He talked about how the byproducts are terrible, the entire chemical process of synthesizing it, which is why we used the word synthetic earlier, because he kind of referred to it that way. It's
extracting.
Well, I think it's semi-synthetic or there's something like that.
It's a non-naturally occurring cannabinoid.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that in itself should just
Delta 8 is
aside.
naturally occurring. It's just that it's being concentrated into amounts that you can't find in a plant.
Extracted.
Delta 8 is not synthetic. Like spice is synthetic. It is molecules made to replicate THC. That is not THC. Delta 8 is actually something that is found in the plant in incredibly small amounts, but it is
you
an
need
actual
a field. You
natural
would need a
thing.
field to get what you're putting in a gummy.
Do you think that this could be good then? Do you think it's another
No, I mean, I think
that-
it needs to be controlled and regulated. I mean, it's not to say that, make it illegal. It's to say, for the same reason that, these businesses have to test their products and go through the rigorous process you're talking about, which potentially too rigorous in some ways, but the point being that like these guys aren't really having to do anything, and they don't even have to really age gate their products. Like they're not really necessarily checking ID.
Oh, I mean, I know all the players, and they're like, it's funny because you just see it goes from industry to industry, right? When the hemp game was hot, they were there. You know what I mean? Then it was the Delta 8 game. Then it was the THCO game. Now it's mushrooms. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's the same teams. Like, oh, you guys are doing mushrooms now?
Jumping around.
But J-Lo,
surprise, surprise. You know what I mean? It's just like, because they see that's the new gap.
I agree with you that it's hard to make a buck in this industry with prices dropping the way it is. But the reason why, and I'm going to just play the con right now, but the reason why testing is so important, and I'm not saying it should be that expensive, is because we know that from 2012 forward, tons of dispensaries release moldy product. They released things that they couldn't sell on the black market.
This is my argument, though, with that, though, is parts per millionth, right? Is like the food is not regulated like this. The Department of Ag,
But food's not illegal under federal law.
Right.
So, and it's not being combusted. But there's two things here, though, that like if you take away spinoside, right? Like I own a consulting company I have for 10 years. And I specialize with pest and disease eradication. So and compliance, actually, ironically, is I've worked with a lot of labs on them actually busting people for altering their testing, to say the least. And I'm a huge advocate. I work with my legal firm on trying to push for testing because I'm a huge advocate for quality and like protecting the consumers. But parts per million does protect you. Is like when you're looking at that, is like aspergillus, for instance, is like if you have an employee going into a fully organic grow that is totally cared for, hand watered, they're not using pesticides, there's not powder mildew everywhere, there's not bugs and shit. Like, they're failing their testing for not only heavy metals, but now they're failing for their staff even touching it, for even being in a space that you're using it. Like, these commercial grows can't take a plant and put it in a quarantine area. When pounds are $1,000, honestly, they can't remodel their grows and put up FRP walling. Like, with the increases since COVID on just pricing alone for materials, like, to actually make your grows sanitary and like lab efficient quality, like, you wouldn't enjoy your job. Let me start there. I worked at Rare Dankness. It is super sterile. And it takes away the beauty to cultivating.
Wouldn't the argument be that if you were growing our food, you would want those type of standards with our food?
Well, yeah,
you wouldn't want.
I was just in Milwaukee. And I was at Lakefront Brewery. It's like the oldest, or the first certified organic brewery in the country. Shit was pristine and clean as fuck. Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, they still try to create a culture where it's fun to work there and whatnot, but like,
I bet
there's serious regulatory compliance, I was like the nerd on the tour.
But I bet it's not nearly.
How rigorous are your
I
regulatory?
bet they would fail their parts per billion testing, though.
That's what, yeah, for sure.
Okay, here's the thing: I don't think anyone's saying that the current testing policy is entirely reasonable and perfect, because right now it's an environment in which it's virtually impossible for that to be the case. But it is a matter of having some sort of standard, and there's a lot of work being done to try to get those rules to a place where they are reasonable.
I don't think there's enough, though, attention being brought to, like, I want to see the community and the growers in this and politicians, like legal departments, everybody, like, behind this right now, because if you even allowed more forgiveness on the parts per billion testing, I'm all for, like I said, producing a quality product. But now you're not getting that. These people are altering their
that's the problem is now what they're doing. Yeah, and not only that, it's like it's becoming standard to microwave your stuff, and it's like, is that?
But there's also,
that's not necessary.
There's also ways to do it without the radiation. You can do it like with ozone, for example. Willow Industries is a company.
Yeah, I know Willow. Yeah, we know Willow Industries.
And it sounds to me like that's a service that can be provided that a lot of people choose not to go through because they don't want to spend the money.
But if you fix,
but
imagine
if
you're,
you
got $400. You have $400 pound. How are you going to spend the money? You're like, so you want how much to remediate?
There's no like universal like right and freedom to sell marijuana to people and make money. Like, is there a universal right and freedom to use cannabis, to grow it for yourself? Fuck yeah, there is. But is there like this just inherent right that I can just grow whatever I want and I want to make money off of it so I can sell it however I want to whoever? Like, no, like we don't do that with anything else, And again, that's not to say the current rules are perfect or reasonable, but right now I think a bigger problem is that shit's not being, like, there's a lot of dirty shit being sold. There's a bigger problem than stuff that's not dirty enough being stopped.
I think the tighter they get, though, the dirtier the shit's going to be.
It is, and I see it too, because what happens is you're holding it all back, which means it goes around the edges. And then when it goes around the edges is when the problems happen, right? And that's inherently what we want to get away from in this industry from the day one. We've always wanted to get away from the back door, but we know what happens. Yes. You know what I mean? You just know what happens. You're like, and so what happened was, what I always found interesting was that Colorado, I felt, did fall into line pretty good. Like, considering the situation, like, there was cartel and there was people coming in from everywhere and they were all just growing like maniacs and people were shipping it all over and it was happening. And it got shut down pretty hard, pretty fast, and and everybody responded. And I think they did I think Colorado did a fairly decent job as far as their reputation. Like, you don't see as much, like, people come here like, looking for go to California, bro. That's what actually happens. It doesn't happen out here. People just don't do that. They can't. It's just it's too regulated. It's too regulated, and that gray market, which ran for a while, and it's fading away slowly. But it's still, there's always going to be two sides to everything, right? But the problem is when you hold back the legal stuff, people will get desperate, and they get desperate if they have $400 pounds that they can't even get rid of, and they got some guy coming in and says, "I'll give you 600," and oh shit, and unfortunately, that kind of stuff is going to happen, and when it does happen, it just makes us all look bad, right? And that's why I feel like Colorado, since it's a smaller, playground, a smaller sandbox, so everybody kind of got like, you don't want to be the douchebag in the crew and be known for that. So it got pretty quick. I could think of a few names right out of the top of my head, like, oh, whatever happened to that guy? But he was, there was certain players out there that everybody knew was dirty, right? And then now those people are gone. I worked for Silver Lizard, right? I was with Leon. We were there at the moment in time when all that shit was happening. It was like, we didn't even realize, because it was like we were just doing our job. Hey, we're growing plants. Yeah. You guys are doing what? Like, what are you fucking like ridiculous?
Yeah,
So we don't want that to happen again.
It's a fair point, though, right? If you regulate too heavily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we see in, look at Los Angeles, right? There's like 600 unlicensed dispensaries and like 40 people trying to do it right? And they just can't really survive because they're being regulated very heavily, and there's not enough enforcement against bad actors. And we're dealing with this. We're pretty active in New York, and like talk about an underground market and a legacy market that's been extremely established. Well, how do you make sure that people that want to do it the right way can transition in, right?
Yeah.
And if you're making $1 million a day to do that, they can't, right? So it's a matter. You got to toe the line.
I think that's the sad part is you're squashing out the guys that are actually passionate about cultivation because they can't afford the licenses in Colorado. You're seeing Oklahoma, New York, California, like everybody else swing all this shit when we can't even dabble in it. Like if you were to, harvest out of your garage and brand it, you can get super big trouble here.
Of course, and that's the thing is you saw everybody like, oh, Oklahoma's the new place. They all went there, you know what I mean? And then that got completely ridiculous. And so now I'm sure the Dakotas are the next spot, right? Everyone's going to be like, how many plants can we grow?
That's right.
Unlimited what? I mean,
a lot of space up there to grow.
Well, I'm going to take the contrary position again. It isn't really the argument that people didn't plan their businesses correctly for the inevitable $300 wholesale pound. Right, it's an agricultural crop. Eventually, it's going to move towards the equator, and it's going to be grown like sugar.
I don't agree with that.
It will.
I want good weed, and I will always value and pay for good weed. I would pay $1,000 tomorrow for fucking good weed.
But that's like, one of the issues, though, is there's not, the public is not informed. Like by and large, the bulk of cannabis, there are obviously a lot of very heavy consumers or long-term, people who have been using cannabis a long time. They know all about it, but like most cannabis consumers do not know the difference between good and bad cannabis. They do not know that what they're getting has shit in it. And
I love that you say that.
And so, and there are a lot of issues related to cannabis that stem from the fact that it has been illegal for so long. When it comes to issues with overconsumption around edibles, around, it's because like, whereas you grow up knowing what alcohol is and knowing there's a difference between vodka and beer. And like, I knew there was a difference between vodka and beer when I was 12 years old. Like I wasn't drinking, I just knew it. People don't have that frame of reference. So like, we're living in a generation that's, kind of like transitioning from prohibition to legal market. And when you think of people that are, being born right now, and when they're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, their level of knowledge about cannabis is going to be vastly greater than most people right now.
I really appreciate that you brought that up because I hear people mention all the time connoisseur consumers or quality
like that
cannabis.
Old people stuff.
But nobody ever expands on what that really means. Like beyond marketing and packaging, like I can appreciate that. I'm not discounting that. I know it's a huge expense for these companies, and I do appreciate a beautiful box. But like when we're looking behind the doors,
clip it.
This is amazing.
Clip it.
But I think behind the closed doors is like I appreciate what you said about testing and like the value of this though is like you've seen shitty shit and you've seen that people are doing things that can harm you and that could honestly like crush this industry on just if it was to kill somebody. I'm saying on just powder mildew, say that you think that you can concentrate and extract and you think it's killing all these microbials in it and it's not. And like I think there's a lot of layers that like we could expand and educate one another on. I think the thing I'm disappointed in is the state of Colorado seems like they are hoping for this to fail, and it seems like these other states, they have a lot of owners.
Who's hoping for this?
Okay, like so there's a lot of big companies out here that are now going to Florida, right? They're dipping out on Colorado and they're going to Florida and they're racing out there because their companies failed out here. But they saturated and consumed most of those licenses and market like up the value of the cost to buy a turnkey license here is about $2.5 to $5 million for a retail shit location. And like that's without your branding, that's without your overhead, that's without a lease, that's without anything. And when you look at that, like, it's eliminating everybody except for these big dogs. And now they're leaving.
We saw that when, even Buddy Boy is gone. Like,
places
exactly.
Consolidation going on for sure.
Yeah, and I helped open Buddy Boy, like those locations.
Well, these are not unique problems to cannabis.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was pounds. You could buy a pound and a quarter legally at a time for $17.50.
There are 3 initiatives on the ballot in Colorado this year around alcohol rules and regulations, around how many licenses a business is allowed to own, about whether they're allowed to deliver it, about whether they're allowed to sell certain products.
We're reversing
and you've got large companies. I was just in a small liquor store. It's got a no on 124, 25, 126 sign. You go to a bigger store, a grocery store, and they've got yes on it. Like these are like issues that are in every industry. And again, just going back, I hate to give the brewery I was just at, like, their business model is based on like, we are going to, they're a B corporation, like they're good. They have all sorts of ethical policies. They're environmentally friendly. They do all, and they use that as marketing. And they're banking on the fact that
they can serve alcohol directly to their people right there at the brewery,
based on being good people.
Not yet.
And with cannabis right now, a lot of consumers are not educated enough to do that.
You're right.
They're basing it on what has the most THC. Yep. They're not basing it on like, oh, this company uses good practices, or this like, that's what I'm talking about with like the level of being informed as a consumer. It's just not there yet.
What do you think we could do as a
I think part of it's just natural. And I think, there's certainly stuff, around like when it comes to industry organizations or businesses themselves, should really consider, promoting the fact that they use certain growing practices that are clean versus saying we'll give you the most possible THC for the least amount of money. There's 2 different types of marketing, and I understand why some would find the allure of the quick buck, but in the end, long term,
it's unfortunate, but it's like worldwide. That's like a worldwide problem as far as that. Even all the buyers in Germany, for instance, like Germany is the next ridiculous market, right? Mm-hmm. And my partner over there in Amsterdam has been dealing with the Germans a lot now, and all they care about is THC. They'll walk in, they'll be like, no, it has to be 30% or not, and they'll be like, and then we're trying to explain to them, or my partner is, that these are 7% terpenes. You know what I mean? These like 7%. It's like ridiculous. Like, those are off the chart in that department, which is much more important for your patients and for your people. But they don't really think that way. They just think, it's all about the THC, and that's how they're about everything. I mean, just it's the active ingredient in their mind. But we know, there's a lot more constituents than that, and it's well, it's going to happen, right? Because it's like everything comes in cycles, and soon enough, people are going to figure out.
Bud tenders will educate people and say there's other. Because
they used to only know the same. They had the same line. You like sativa or indica, and now they're like, if you come in and you actually have some cannabis knowledge, you'd be like, there's no such thing, really, dude. Like, let's talk narrow leaf. Let's talk narrow leaf.
What did I say to you when I wrote to you? Did I say, do you have a sativa? What did I say?
I said
sativa dominant.
Yeah, exactly.
Because what's what we're dealing with right now. There are no pure strains growing anywhere, and if
that's what the consumer wanted. That's what pisses me off about these people. It's like I want fucking purple shit. I want fucking blah 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 blah, and like whatever fat of the week.
So
cookies.
Here's the thing, though. Colorado's the first adult use market to launch. It's been less than 10 years since that occurred, right? So the notion that like. That it's not like this has been going on for decades and decades, and people are still. This is still really new. Like, I've got I got friends who come to town who live in states where this isn't allowed, or even who live in some states where it is, but they're just not super into cannabis, and walk into a store and the bud tender starts talking about terpenes, starts talking about, and they look at me like,
they have no idea.
I have no idea what they just said.
We have Drew here from Green Valley Dispensary. Welcome, Drew. So you just described the situation of what happened to us 2 weeks ago. The show provided the cannabis flair for the Rare Bloom blockchain event. So we had a bus that brought customers, conference attendees to the dispensary, and they got a discount when they were there. And what were there, 600 people at the conference? 100 people went to the dispensary. Okay? That's a huge amount of people that came for a blockchain event that went out of their way to go shop. So that's what's happening. And most of them had never been in a dispensary before. One of them, I think, even mentioned to me, he's like, they were there for 30 minutes. They asked questions, they interacted, they learned about all the different products, and then they made a purchase and they left.
It takes that. I mean, one of the things we do literally as part of our jobs, I mean, both of our firms have done this, Brian's and mine, which they're affiliated, but is provide tours for elected officials and for law enforcement officials from other states. Like when the National Conference of State Legislatures recently held their annual summit, these are, state legislators from around the country all coming here for a big conference, and NCSL, like the organization itself, reached out and was like, hey, we need to set up tours for state legislators that want to learn about this. And we did. Incredible. And then help them, because these people just don't know anything about it. So one of the problems is these are the people creating these rules sometimes. So they're not going to be the best rules. And then you've got customers who are, not particularly informed, and it's a recipe for problems, but it's only less than 10 years. Like,
so
I agree totally with you. The future will change that because there won't be people who were born not knowing what legal cannabis was.
Jeff Gard's legal firm I help them with these things called capital plans in Colorado, and it's a corrective action and preventative action plan. And when they first got released as a compliance introduction, they asked me as the state to write these rules. So I am super nerdy.
She's like, how many clams do I get?
Wait, they asked you to do that, but you still have 9 restraining. Come on.
You're telling me I should have a little pass. But no, is so I'm a huge advocate for compliance, honestly. But the thing is working on this side of going into these businesses, and you'll see it goes both ways. Is you'll see these guys that shouldn't probably be in this are completely just trying to hustle out the weight, and I hate to say it, but pest and disease issues are a huge cause of why you can't pass your testing. Is if your plant's not uptaking correctly, if you're not flushing correctly, if you're not curing correctly. I'm a huge advocate for making sure that that's not out on the market, but
edibles.
At the same time is they're not giving these guys, exactly. They're not giving these guys options though, or resolutions on how to fix these problems. They're coming in fining you. You can't sell your weed. You had to pay 4 months of overhead that you already couldn't afford. The more stringent that they get on these testing, they just dropped 2 other tests that Colorado has to do. It's up to $400 to $600 per batch that you're testing.
How big is a batch?
So a batch is as big as you need it. So you can't run phenos, right?
That's why you have to consolidate everything. Which sucks.
And then that's illegal technically. You're not supposed to.
Just as big as you need.
So a batch can
be a tray.
50 pounds. 10 pounds. What?
Technically, what they would want you to do is every single thing you're supposed to do. So you go in the end, you go, you know what? Bite the bullet. Throw this all together. Take one test. Oh, well, so you get so basically it's like she said, technically not legal. That's not the way you're supposed to do it, but couldn't do it otherwise.
Straw nano,
if they tried to do it, they would be out of business because they'd be like, so we spent $14,000 on testing and we sold $20,000 worth of product and we have to pay all these bills. What the fuck are we going to do now? We can't do that. It's impossible. So,
and you're submitting 7 grams. Okay, so
I'm going to be that. Wait, I'm going to be. Then let me just. I got to argue the other side. Then
do it.
Doesn't your business suck? Didn't you not plan correctly? You're just hold on. You're like the person who approached me in 2012 who said, I want you to be on our advisory board for our company. And you'd look at their numbers, and the whole business was based on them selling a $4,500 wholesale pound.
Yeah, well, that's ridiculous.
And I'm like, you're out of your gourd. I said, it's going to wind up being $700. It'll go down to $400. It's going to be the price of fucking sugar eventually.
Obstacles, though. We all don't plan for obstacles. You don't plan for the aphids. You don't plan for the rest of
Fuck you, Telly, if you push that fucking button.
You don't plan for the Fusarium.
Do it.
The thing is these things happen.
Okay, you watch.
And there's no forgiveness.
Fucking guy. I made a good fucking point, and you're going to waste it on that.
I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of a...
I feel there's no forgiveness, though. It's a 4-month crop to put out your overhead is a long time. And these come and grows, 14ers, all these great companies that we love, it's roughly $100,000 a month per facility to operate. And if you're getting your weed down to $20 an eighth,
It was also it was a new market, right? I mean, as we mentioned, Colorado was the first people in. So how exactly do you know what the demand is going to be in 5 years? How do you draw that pro forma for your business?
That was
plan,
the greatest thing in the world when they had 10-year projections in 2012. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind?
As the other states open up.
Rosin Dogs just says
COVID. I mean, there's just things that
50-pound batch, $1,200 in New York.
That's what I'm talking
There
about.
you go. And that's that was the point I was going to make when you were bringing that up, and you were talking about how Colorado was the first. The people who really were in legislative power were not what I would call a stoner community. I would call them accepting of the fact that their constituents voted it in, but they didn't know shit. New York, on the other hand, the people that were there a year and a half, 2 years ago, when they created this framework for whatever it is, they're all stoned. They all used cannabis in one way or another. I'm not saying they were daily smokers, but they all used cannabis enough to the point to, like you were saying, they were educated on it without really having to be educated on it. And they kind of understood it was, why do we have to create a whole new framework? We already have laws where you can smoke tobacco. Okay. It's smoking.
Yeah, but cannabis and tobacco are not equitable. I mean, those are, one's an impairing substance and the other one's not.
But
and you're using one if you're sick to like get better versus you don't smoke a cigarette to make you
alcohol's
healthier.
An intoxicant, cannabis intoxicant. It's more. It's a
I was just happy that Adam tricked me and I smoked near a cop. So,
but just the fact that you can smoke anywhere, that alone made it smarter than Colorado, where you were like, yeah, you see, look, they get to smoke cigarettes, we get to smoke weed. We're not in their face. They're cool. We're cool. Everybody's cool. Like over there, it's not. Over there, it's like we just walk down the street, smoke a joint, no problem. Cop. It was great. Like Dave was like, I made sure just to give it to him right at the moment and go, there's a cop right there. And he's like, frozen. And the cop's like looking at us like, dude, just go.
Just keep walking.
I don't want to see a cucumber and cannabis compared. You know why I don't want to see cannabis compared to big ag? And I am all for like large square footage and whatever. But I think the thing is like a lot of people I know in this industry from 2009 to now is like, they all fell in love with this because it saved them from something else in their life. Like the actual cultivation of the plant, the actual consumption of the plant. They valued something more than most shit in their lives. And now when I see that it's like treated like a cigarette, treated like a cup of vodka, it's fucking not like that. Like if you walk into a cultivation facility that actually cares about their stuff, you see the OCD grower. You see that they would never.
Well, I mean, it's the difference between it's medical and rec, though, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's the difference between people that produce Popov and the people that produce like run like a micro distillery that are making like super high end vodka. I mean, and that comes down to consumer education and consumers knowing the difference, and that's why we have like a strong microbrewery industry as well as
what do you think? What do you think the future of medical here in Colorado is, though? Because everywhere is strangling it out, and it's like here, I can see it happening. I can see it. Like I see the shops closing, and I'm like, okay, that's another one down, another one down.
It's been a slow, steady decline. Yeah, I think a lot of people are still using cannabis medically. Whether it's to help sleep or
it all is.
They always did. Maybe we all do at the end of the day.
It's all medical
in terms of patient enrollments and sales through the medical market. I think there's less and less incentive for patients to get cards.
There will be a pharmaceuticalization, if you will. I mean, which, to be honest, of course, everyone hates pharmaceutical companies, what have you. But when you really look at it, I mean, if you have like a kid with, or if you have ALS or you've got a kid with cancer, whatever, you obviously want to relieve their pain. The thing that's available is cannabis, just flower or some specific tincture, whatever. But when you start to have the research and the development that goes into developing a pharmaceutical product where it can be proven through clinical trials that this specific strain and this specific way of consuming it is known to be this much more effective for your kid getting healthy or you staying alive, that's and of course you can't necessarily afford something and you want your insurance to pay for it. Like that's, if cannabis is a miracle for medical purposes, which I would say it is, then it needs to be. That's not to say it shouldn't be available. Like it's like.
Well, the problem is that they're going to take like this is again the same issue. Like it's very hard to pinpoint any of those things you just said. Like you can never get it like that because patients patients drift.
No, it'll take a long time.
No, because patients have weird. Like you'll have people who again like instantly like bam. great results, and then
but that's the same with every prescription drug. It's varies.
And with cannabis, it's even more extreme because we're talking about how it was grown, the time of year, the type of nutrients, was it a good crop, a bad crop? There's a lot of differences between individual runs.
But if you look at like the IP, like if you look at the patents, like GW Pharmaceuticals, for example, or Jazz, like what it's based upon is consistency of environment and everything about it. They were able to reproduce the same thing identically enough that they were able to
and they did whole plant extraction, so it was easier for them to. Whenever you do that, you can homogenize everything at that level. Like at that point, everything gets homogenized. Whereas when you're growing, it's not, because growing is very much like this room did this and that room did this, and what we do is take all the rooms, we put them all together, and we homogenize it into one single product.
If it's medical cannabis is not like, while some people might like, if alcohol like relieved certain medical conditions, and you could go out and either just like grab a beer because you got a headache and it'll help, that's one thing. But if like there was a certain type of alcohol that like helped you like put your cancer into remission, you'd want to go get that, and that should be available.
Which they kind of thought that they did have that at one point, and that's how Walgreens started. That was the Walgreens, that was their roadmap. That was their roadmap, where they were like, this alcohol stuff's pretty good when you get the jittery things. You drink more alcohol, less jittery things, then it goes away, and then more jittery things, and you keep getting it.
That's what they did with tobacco too. They said it was healthy,
and so I mean that's
they prescribed tobacco to pregnant women.
I mean, I don't want you guys to feel
to lose weight.
Damn.
Listen, I can see it helping during that time, but I feel like
you don't want.
You guys brought up some great points. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to tiger pounce anything.
Tiger pounce. Did you hear that?
I feel like
because
actually,
it's
they
really
want more
awesome.
tiger pounce.
More tiger, more pouncing.
I appreciate that, but it's going to be 10 soon.
I know. I just think that this is like a subject that I think everybody in the industry is like combating right now, though, is like staying alive. Like, honestly.
It's a lot of people we know are getting knocked out.
This is the consolidation season.
If you're going to get into a new industry,
you
got to understand that it's not.
No, this would be. I would feel so sorry for the individual who comes in all, thinking they're just going to change this game, not knowing what the hell they're getting into, because there is too many layers to this.
I mean, that's like due diligence. I mean, if you're going to get into any industry, if you're a savvy, whether it's business person or investor or whatever, you would want to know what you're getting into, and
Well, I mean, cannabis
buyer beware.
Cannabis has always been one of those markets where it was very easy to run in your head back when you were a kid, or it's like, okay, so if you have weed in July, you're going to make money. That's all you needed to know. That was it. That was the whole formula. That was the formula for success, right?
In February.
And you couldn't do it as a stoner because you could never keep the weed around. But if you were the guy who was like sitting up on the hill in your big house, and you just, I have pounds for you little boys, and they'd come up, and that was it. It was just a very simple little thing.
Why did you have to say it like that?
Because that's how the fucking market ran. It was literally it's that one guy who could just sit on that weed and wait till July and cash out hard. That's it. And then so I'd watch for years people coming in not getting that, and he'd be like, what are you doing? Like you just sold all of that. You know what's going to happen, right? In about 2.5 months, they'd be like, what do you mean?
Wait, but you just described why the fucking McDonald's has a McRib, because they only buy pork when the bottom of the market.
That's what I was trying to do.
That's the grossest thing I've ever.
That was the only reason
the market.
that fucking sandwich exists.
It's called a McRib.
That wasn't for good weed. That was for all.
I can't wait.
That was all Mexi bud.
Is that like some Jeffrey Dahmer sandwich?
Are you not aware of
brown frown? That was for the brown frown. That was not the. But you still got good money for it.
They probably won't even have it this year because pork prices don't appear to be dropping.
It is disgusting.
I hope. Ew. They should X me.
I'm not saying I eat a McRib. I don't eat a McDonald's.
They keep showing it on all these shows now, and it's just so like, who designed that thing? It's like it doesn't even look anything like a rib. It's like
blender.
It was ridiculous. It was like
they made it look
like a cartoon,
like a rib, kind of ribs.
It didn't even but it was like there was so much better. Like somebody could have.
That's the grossest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, it was so nasty.
What do you know about
some bones in
I'm
there.
gonna buy you guys McRiblets next
please
week.
don't. Please don't.
For breakfast tomorrow, I'm bringing you all that.
The big sign in Boulder is McDonald's is hiring at $19 an hour right now.
Let's all quit our jobs and apply. It's paying better.
Wait till them chicken tray comes.
Chicken train.
So what is the future of the industry in regards to federal descheduling? I mean, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but you are the voice of the industry going back over a decade. I mean, I remember,
wait a minute. Yeah, now a decade.
You know, I remember I went to something at, you know, in the courthouse somewhere, and I think both of you guys took the microphone and spoke. I was with Mitch then, and so I always caution anybody, you never plan a business about what, if anything, the federal government will do. But just between us girls here, what do you think?
I think the money's been misallocated the last several years. Tons of money has gone into federal lobbying, and I just think that's been silly, right? You know, so basically, a lot of your MSOs are spending tons of money on federal lobbying. They should be spending
knowing that it's not going to happen.
I mean, it just doesn't seem to be happening super fast. My road to federal legalization runs through the states, and you know, we just need to legalize cannabis at more and more states every year, and eventually there'll be insurmountable pressure for the federal government to do something. And again, we're on the ballot, 5 states here in 2 weeks. Oklahoma's going to vote to legalize in March, but they kind of already did. If you've been out there, it's kind of wild. But so I think that's the future, right? And I think that'll happen in the next several years. We'll have 30 plus states, and then the federal government will be like, well, it's time to do something.
Do you want that?
Yes. Yeah, I don't want people arrested for cannabis anymore. Yeah. So.
I thought that. Now I'm like, fucking arrest me, write me the ticket. I will pay.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we're in the middle right now. It's either like it's on this side or it's like this side, and like we're in this part right here, which is confusing because it's all mixed up between that end and that end, and so so I think once it goes federal, I mean, there will be a more clear distinction between top and bottom, and they'll always be underground. There'll always be people doing their thing, which is, I mean, I'm all about it because I think that's, you know, the freedom of being able to just grow a plant, especially when it comes to like nobody caring anymore because the value is not so there. It's not a big deal. You just grow your plants. You don't need to think about it because it's not like a big commodity issue because you know it will be like that. It's already there, and we've seen it.
Do you ever feel like you get fucked
level.
Either way?
Oh, farmers always get fucked. That's normal. That's the number one thing. It doesn't matter what crop it is.
You got to get federal subsidies going for you guys, you know.
And that's the thing. It's
like being 50 years,
corn and wheat.
But then you got lazy ass growers who just want to like not grow anything. They're like, you mean you're gonna pay me to not grow? Yeah, right. That's like a dream for some people. It's like, you mean no work and get paid? I like that. And you're like,
stoner dream.
There is a lot of shitty employees. Like McDonald's is paying better than any weed position. If you look it up in Colorado, they're all paying $16 to $18 an hour, and
because they can't afford to.
Because they can't afford exactly.
It's the same. It's the same as trimming weed right now. It's like right now, everybody who grows, you know, modestly or whatever, can't afford to pay anybody to trim their weed.
Do you know how much they pay people who are like picking oranges? I mean, not a lot.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to check into it because probably not a lot, but at the same time, comparatively, when you start looking at like the amount of like what are those tons of oranges worth, and what is the actual like, you know, workload compared to?
Oh, now you're talking about market cap.
Can we talk about the like? Okay, when I go to Whole Foods
we have a lot more,
and I buy cotton candy grapes, right? Like those are tissue cultured grapes. They are not organic. They're advertised as organic, but they like started as a tissue culture project, and that's great. Anyways, I love the fucking grapes, but they're like quadruple the price of normal grapes. They taste like cotton candy for the first bite. Anyways,
first bite. Oh, listen to that!
I think
sour
that, like,
puss over here. First bite.
When I look at that though, and then you go into a liquor store right next door to Whole Foods, like you see wine, right, that ranges from $6 a bottle to hundreds of thousands of dollars a bottle. So I'm looking at a grape, right? This is all starting with the same overhead, the same operations, or similar. Still big ag. It's still all these things. And like, so I look at cannabis the same way. As I don't look at it like a cigarette pack. I don't look at it like most like beers or something. Is like, I look at this thing as like, you have the opportunity to cultivate something and stand out with a reflection of yourself in your garden. Like, if you want to treat it like something that we all just like mass cultivate, and it is like strawberries, to me it's not. It's like I can treat it like that.
Well, that's your monoculture mentality. I mean, that's the difference.
But 60,000 square foot is what I've been the head grower of, and like I've overseen a large operations multiple times and fixed, and like I think you can do it at a large scale. That's the difference. Is I think that you shouldn't have bugs at a large scale. I don't think that is acceptable. I don't think.
Well, that's when you were allowed to use Avid on your grows.
Yeah, you.
J-Lo.
Oh, whatever.
Well, I mean, but you just said the overhead's the same whether in either case, and that's not the case. I mean,
What do you mean?
Well,
with what?
I mean, like,
hey, back up, guys.
Back it up.
I was just saying. What do you mean?
I mean, for one thing, if you're paying people doing something $15 an hour versus $30 an hour, do you think they put more time and effort and care into the $30 an hour?
So.
I think if you have the same amount of employees, then it's different. But I think if you have less employees or more employees, it could go both ways.
The point is, there's things, there's unique, like whether it's a strain or a type of grape. There's some that are more prominent or more available than others, and then there's a process you go through, and whether that process is
So Orange
more
Swift.
careful or not, and that's really what divides, it's like organic versus non-organic. It's like a process that the overhead is not by definition going to be more expensive, and therefore your product's more expensive. But this is where the problem is that cannabis quality has been equated with potency, and that should never have been the case.
Right.
And
I agree.
it should. It's
I don't think that though. It's like
Ding, ding,
I
ding.
have to disagree though with like when I see
You were
710.
disagreeing with that?
Okay,
Come on, get outta here.
listen. There's a reason why is because
Disagree with
710 is
everything.
charging $220 for a half ounce, and their weed is testing at 18 to 22%.
Because they don't market by their THC
the highest
content.
I've seen their weed is 23%. That's the highest I've ever seen their weed test on the shelf, and they're paying top dollar. It's $600 for a retail ounce here, right now.
What you're comparing right now is
I know, you're like,
That's at
enjoyment
22%.
level of drinking a 1915 Madeira.
well, that's because he has a
Swishes
reputation,
around.
though, too. And he
I tested highest in the state.
But I'm saying I don't get any drunker when
did she
I
get that?
drank.
When did that happen?
2012 to 2014,
Oh,
when there
back
was
when the weed
only
sucked.
one lab,
When the weed sucked.
Can Labs, and they came in and tested your facility.
I
But
tested
the
hot one
point
time.
is that high THC level does not equate to good quality.
No, we know that.
And the problem is that for by and large, most consumers have equated that, and it's been fed into very significantly by the cannabis industry in terms of like promoting certain things and saying, "Oh, this stuff's great. It's like 25%," and it's like that's the problem is that. We need the industry, and don't get me wrong, the industry's got a lot to deal with. I'm not saying that it's easy or that but like at some point they'll need to invest more in having higher quality products that aren't necessarily higher potency products and appeal to people and market to people based on them being higher quality and not just higher potency.
What's your favorite brands in the state right now?
Oh, careful there.
Oh, careful. Slippery slope. Slippery slope.
Sponsors here. We got to acknowledge the sponsors.
I'm not super passionate about I don't care that much. Like
Why not?
I consume
What
cannabis
makes
the
you
same way
not
I drink.
care?
And that, like,
honestly, like I'm saying, like
She's never been this spicy
like,
before. You
I know,
guys
I'm
are
sorry.
letting
You
this
guys
out.
are
Well,
it's just because
okay, well,
it's
there are
because
some
I care
people
about this subject.
Well, there are some people who really care about wine and they want to know exactly what vintage it is and
What a bastard.
where what region did it come from. Like
could
there are
they?
also some people who just drink Mad Dog. Like
Right. That's what-
I'm not. I don't really. I don't consume cannabis enough that I care that much. I
you're
enjoy.
more Mad Dog,
I
you're
like
more
enjoy
Mad
being around
Dog
people
style.
who know their shit. Like and can tell me like oh,
us.
this is good, and it's like oh great. It's like someone served me good wine. That's nice. But if I also went somewhere and I felt like getting fucking high and someone had some shit that was not as high quality,
THCO and some
I'm drinking
Delta 8.
Budweiser.
No, I think that's cool that you say that.
Fair
you
point.
appreciate both. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a taste and preference things with consumers, and some people care, some people don't.
I
It's
just
the case
think
with
that
everything.
sustainability, though, is
As you
my
can tell,
concern. It's
J-Lo
like
cares.
that's
J-Lo cares.
I do really
Some people
care
care.
because I started in this industry when I was 19 years old. I've sacrificed my whole life. I'm only
19.
33 years old.
No, 19. We need that little
And
sample.
I'm saying I've fixed and operated 150 different commercial grows in Colorado, and like all with great names behind them, but all with big defeats and all with big obstacles, and like watching them struggle. The reason I say this is I empathize for the owners here. I've seen them like struggle with their payroll. I've seen them have to like do a lot just to be legal here, when I don't think that's fair compared to California or New York, when they're selling $2,200 ounces and completely fucking the market here.
I completely
We don't have
agree,
the
but here's
population.
thing.
That's the problem. So
Life sometimes isn't fair. I mean, it's just a fact. I'm not saying it's right. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Just crushed him. You had to do that. You're going to tell her there's no Santa Claus now?
Where's my
You're
fucking
always going to
plans?
have. I'm going to bring this all back around. You're always going to have competing interests, whether it's competing interests within the cannabis industry, competing interests between the pro cannabis or anti cannabis.
I'm super competitive.
And then you're also going to have a competition for what should be a priority. What should lawmakers or regulators focus on, right? And this comes back to the question that you asked about federal law and where that's headed, and it also comes back to the Biden thing and you poo-pooing it a bit, and why I don't is that
Take it out
is
on
that
Dave.
one of the
Dave's
biggest,
fault.
but
Dave
one of
poo-pooed.
one of the most critical aspects, whether it's to legalization or to improving the regulations, is having this be a priority. And it's very difficult for cannabis to be a priority when it's competing with things like
don't get her fired.
healthcare,
Slow her down.
immigration.
Slow her down.
Slow her down. So when cannabis is like up against like all sorts of very serious policy issues, people aren't going to spend a lot of time worrying about it. So the fact that Joe Biden, with the Ukraine war going on and with all sorts of shit happening, decided to spend a whole day doing something around cannabis, that's him making it a priority, and that's what has to happen for this shit to go.
I hear what you're saying. I guess you put it into context, you could say the original framer and architect of the drug war was now in favor of relaxing laws at a federal level.
You can't really ask for more. I mean, we just had John Hickenlooper and Michael Hancock come and shower Amendment 64 with praise at the 10th anniversake event we held. They both opposed it.
The heck?
But they, you know what?
What do you envision?
Yeah.
What do you envision though, honestly, and like this being 5 years from now for the people in cannabis legislation, everything? What do you think an ideal situation is?
I think 5 years from now, it's still a very, very early point in this. When you look like the Ken Burns documentary of like the history of cannabis, like we're like episode 2 of 6. Like there's a lot of shit that's going to be happening, and like I said, I mean, like alcohol, despite becoming legal again, 1930, whatever it was, 7. Yeah, it's right around there. Like, they're still fucking fighting
Coincidence?
over it. It's still something they're dealing with in legislatures around the country. It's still something that they're arguing over. There's still people like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and there's still people fighting about, like, it's always going to be an issue, and it's always going to be people arguing over it, and they're just going to have competing interests.
I think you give too much credit. I think if we were in the Ken Burns documentary, everything that has happened up until now would be 5 minutes of the first episode.
He's never had a 5-minute even commercial, first of all.
It would be 5 minutes of the first
episode.
episode, and it would be somewhere way in the future of what it has morphed into when there aren't states that will take your kids. When we have, you wouldn't even think of going to jail for using cannabis. I mean, that would be absolutely ridiculous.
But then what if your baby dies from supposedly eating a CBD? THC
we would know
gummy?
that was bullshit, and that we would do an autopsy to find out what really
They did
caused.
do an autopsy, and that's the problem, is when it comes to things like Delta 8, they don't yet know whether it could be responsible.
Then it's why it's really not. I don't want to invalidate the horror of what happened, but it's just not relevant on the scheme of things, talking about what will happen 30 years from now when we're in industry. I have to imagine the sugar industry was run by cartels.
We are not going to be an industry in Colorado if this is how it goes. They can't afford to stay.
People are still going to buy cannabis, so they'll buy it some way, shape, or
But that's again, that's what, like, when, as consumers become more informed, and you're going to have like microbreweries and large scale breweries. You're going to have some people that really care and only drink the good shit, and some people that don't give a fuck and drink the swill. Like, you're always going to have that situation. And, it's because with alcohol, they didn't necessarily, they don't market based on this beer is this much percent alcohol by volume, so that makes it good. It's based on we
which is funny that they don't, because
we use the best water, and we use
now there is.
You mentioned earlier about how immature the industry is, and I couldn't agree more. In Colorado right now, there are 500 businesses all doing exactly the same thing. How many? There's like 5 coffee companies. in the state. You know, when you think about it, not the mom and pop places, but the brands. There are 2 candy companies in the country. I mean, we haven't seen consolidation yet. That's coming this year. When it bottomed last year, I don't even say bottomed, when the price dipped to where it is, and it's going to continue to go lower, you can hit the fuck you button. But it's going to go down to hundreds of dollars.
Coffee and candy are both examples of things where there are small businesses producing high quality products that some people prefer. Is it a tough fucking gig? Sure is. But you know,
what happens when high quality? This mother trucker walks up and is like, "Hey, my friend is paying whatever they're paying, way less for this great same quality," and you're like, "No, mine's better." They're like, no,
it's the same guy that walks in and want to buy your Mercedes. Yeah. You go buy yourself a Honda or a Ford or a Yugo. You know, if you can't afford and you don't appreciate the luxury of that Mercedes.
So are we paying for the brand or are we paying for the quality?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's early stage on branding. We can all agree on that. You know, that if you look at every other major market, like people can name, you know, what's your favorite brand of alcohol? People can name all sorts of brands, right? Cannabis, you know, the most prominent activist in Colorado can't, you know, he could name some, but he can't name his favorite off the top of his head.
What do you think, honestly?
Oh, he was talking about you.
You said that. Do you have any that you like or prefer? I'm not going to say mean things.
Yeah, I mean, and I should say we have many friends out there, but Life Flower Dispensary, I like their flower there. I think they're nice people. I think Dosed, some of those edibles are good. Wild, even though they're big and everywhere.
I went and visited Veritas based on. They explained the difference between what they're doing and what a lot of other people are doing. I found it fascinating. Did I swear I'm only going to consume cannabis made this way? No, I also, don't eat entirely healthy either because I'm fucking dumb sometimes.
You don't say.
It's just, I thought that they were fascinating. They told us flat out, like, hey, we know that it's more expensive than other stuff.
Can I ask you?
We have decided to go that route and, really market based on this is high quality. And there's ways we can explain why it's high quality, and you're going to have to pay more for it if you want high quality.
What's the most you would pay for an ounce in Colorado? If it was
I haven't bought an ounce of weed
he said he was
since I was in college.
Drinking Budweiser, so we know what we know.
You don't think somebody gives it to him? Come on.
He's that kind of guy. They shower him in weed. He walks in the room, they just go, weed.
How much would you pay for premium grown exactly the way you want it, cured, fleshed?
I would never want an ounce of cannabis because I would not be able to consume it fast enough that it would no longer, it would get old.
You wouldn't stay fresh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not a heavy consumer. I used to be. There's, you want to, if you go out to a college campus or in front of a grocery store and collect signatures for a living, which I used to have to do, you wake up and smokes weed.
I like
But now I just don't consume nearly as much as I did.
You're like J-Lo. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I don't think he's anything like you, or you him.
I'm sorry.
But guys, thank you so much. We have Mr. Danny Danko waiting in the wings. Oh, did somebody send him the link? I didn't send him the link.
Nobody sent him the link?
I'll send it to him
my
right now.
God. Dave.
No, hold on.
That's your only job.
Wow, man.
It's not my only
Guys,
job.
next time I won't talk.
You have one job, Dave.
That's highly disappointing, dude.
And I invited him on the show.
I stay up till 4 in the morning.
Danny's coming. Great. Thanks.
I stay up till 4 in the morning doing the links and the emails and all that.
I know. That's because I don't deliver until midnight or later.
Whatever, dude.
12:30. But I was doing my costume, bro. I had costume issues. I had to deal with all that.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. So
it's good. Costume looks great.
It's hanging in there. My hair keeps popping out, but I'm like, whatever.
Great.
Yeah. It's like a little
He's
fur.
got better hair.
No, it's like your little baby hairs.
This one's underneath or that. Oh, these ones coming out.
Yeah. It's just your little baby hairs.
Before you guys go,
yeah.
In the scheme of the documentary that'll eventually be written,
who's playing who?
Where who's playing me? No. Where do you see it eventually being treated like the generation goes away that saw it illegal, where you were a one-man show and really it was $9,000 a pound when it all went down the line? Okay, that's all gone. When it becomes a true commodity, right? And they really are growing it in Colombia en masse, whether or not it's in family farms or just by the cartels.
Well, coffee coming from the right regions, from the right places.
Exactly.
And that is the thing, is that people will get used to it. And
is there a
that's the
price
one thing that
point?
hasn't happened yet because we don't have there's no good hash here, right? So that's what will be interesting is when you start getting into traditional hash from places that actually been making it for
Afghanistan, or where do you got your eye on?
Nepal,
all over the world. I mean, Nepal would be great. India's got there's people everywhere doing all sorts of work, and they all watch America now because America's actually the true cannabis sort of spot, where the other places, even though they've traditionally been doing it, they're still illegal. They still deal with the man, and they still deal with backdoor shit, and they still have the military, and it's all our fault. We're the ones who put it there. It wasn't like they traditionally had their problems, but we would force them either to, force them to grow opium now and not grow cannabis. And there's regions that got ruined for that. Afghanistan's, there's places in Afghanistan that had the best hash in the world, but now they're ruined, obviously from 20 years of America.
True.
So
exactly.
So we've fucked that all up, obviously.
But so there's right now there are a lot of small governments around the world that are looking at this, and based on their climate, their conditions, what have you, they're thinking, hey, if we can,
they're looking at our consumers is what they're looking at.
Well,
like
exactly.
300 million
thinking,
Americans.
They're also thinking like, hey, we are a poor nation. We do not have a lot of resources. We're able to grow this stuff very well and very easily and very cheaply. So why don't we? If we're
the learning
able,
curve
if we
is
make
so
it
hard on
legal,
these people too. They don't know.
Let all of our population grow it, and then that will be like our GDP, and they will be selling it. So, but for a long time, countries have not even thought about this. You know why? Is because
American policy.
Yeah, and that's why when the president comes out and says that, it's so important.
All right, you sold me.
Look at him coming around like a
John
professional.
Favreau is
Came around
Ripples
pro.
of influence.
No,
Ripples
I
of
love
influence.
John Favreau?
I can see John Favreau.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Louis C.K. Louis C.K.
Oh, that's a good one too.
John Favreau, listen, that guy's brilliant. What he's doing with the Star Wars franchise right now.
Fair.
He wants to come on the show if anyone's listening. John
Nobody's
Favreau.
listening.
Have him zoom in. Danko, you know him. I'm sure you know him. Send him the
That's
link.
not real Danko. That was fake Danko.
I know.
Okay, just checking. Since you didn't send him the link.
By next week,
we have to deal
will
with that.
have so many Brian Vicente and
We have
Mason
all the
Tvert
drops. Oh yeah, the drops are going to be.
it'll be something
You'll
else.
be on the show forever now.
Nice.
I'll be
nice.
Especially
better
now
next
because
time.
it's the only time we've ever seen her
Talk.
I'm only just saying.
She's fired
I
up.
hope you know
She's
this.
fired up.
Like I
Gets really
respect
high,
you so
doesn't
much,
say
and I
nothing.
just
All of a sudden we're like, whoa,
I never
what's
get
going on?
people that actually are talking about things I'm interested in. So I know I probably come off like a dick, but I really appreciate that you're like.
That she just really dug Adam and I right there. It was like a dig right in
I'm
the
sorry,
we
guys.
suck.
Sorry.
We
You have to
suck.
talk with these
I'm
monkeys.
so
Yeah.
sorry.
Hanging out with
I will
us
be better
for
next
over a
time. I will
year.
be so
No, you were
quiet.
lovely. It was,
I need some
that was
intellectual
perfectly
stimulation.
reasonable.
It's because she's got her Christina Aguilera
Sorry, guys.
attitude going on.
Yeah,
there.
it was
right.
the bun. I never wear my hair.
No, no,
out.
she's
a
Oh
method
my
actor.
God, she lays it. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
so sorry.
The hair in a
no need
bun,
for
and
an
she got
apology.
all sassy.
She's not a genie in a bottle, y'all.
Well, you guys are welcome back anytime, so
Thank
please,
you.
and no need to.
No
You
costumes
can just send us a
required.
text and we can
Nice.
show up on a Friday. You're always welcome.
Nice. He's coming in hot.
Oh, Danko.
That is great.
Wow. Powerful.
It goes great with the headphones, man. That's
Well,
awesome.
wait, we don't want to get anybody in trouble, so we have to introduce the artist, or the
Formerly
writer,
known as Danko.
formerly known as Danny Danko of High Times Magazine,
Yeah.
but Danny Vinkovetsky.
Danny Vinkovensky in the house. What's going on, bro?
Shalom, Mishbuka.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
We see you, too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you put a cream on that to make that sort of?
Did you just
go
stick it
away?
on the back with a little duct tape or what? I like it.
It's all natural.
All natural.
Let us say goodbye to Mason and Brian. Unless you want to sit and hang out for the rest of the show, you're more than welcome.
I gotta run.
I see.
I did just want to say real quick though, there's only so many people that have been working hard in Colorado for a decade plus on cannabis. So Adam, I appreciate what you do, man. I consider you like an anti-hero educating the people out
Anti-hero.
there. So
I like
thank
that.
you, my
Yeah,
friend.
thank you.
Wow,
All right,
Bizarro
thank you,
Superman.
Thank you. Of course, man.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Great to be on with you guys.
I
That was
hope
awesome.
to see you guys again.
And good fun. And I'm glad you got this girl worked up.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
really.
guys.
It was a good time.
I'll
She
be on
set
my
the
best.
bar.
Bro.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll see you on the in the canosphere out there. Thank you, Mason. Thank you, Brian. That was very
Do
cool.
you guys think I was an asshole? Sorry.
Yeah, you're the worst.
Oh,
But no, good.
Yeah,
Good.
wow.
That was
Jeez.
good. We never seen her.
What the hell?
I
What
had
the
no
hell?
idea you spoke.
Yeah, what happened?
That's amazing.
Did you take some speaking pills or something? What happened? You stopped drinking. What are you drinking now? Aspire.
Cocaine.
Well, there it is. That was it.
Mr. Danko, how are you doing?
From Colombia. She has a Colombian drink. We'll have to ask Carlos when he comes on. We're going to have Carlos coming in from Colombia in a little while. But first, we're going to hang out with Commander Danko.
Greetings.
How's your house? How's your kids' costume? You doing? Were you doing like a combo, or are you doing like a single? You're just doing a crazy dad costume, or what's going on?
He's at his dance right now. He's at the 7th grade dance in his costume. So.
Oh shit!
Did you go as Danny from Saturday Night Fever?
No, he told all his classmates all week that he was going to be dressed as a carrot, and he's basically just wearing a T-shirt that says "Pretend I'm a carrot."
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I saw the "Pretend I'm a bee" shirt when I was looking up bee costumes. I'm like, yeah, you fucking guys, and you're pretend I'm a.
J-Lo didn't pretend to be.
So you got the same.
Pretend I'm Adam Dunn.
You got like Dave style contribution there. He had it going on. He was.
It was hard, man.
Hard. Oh, it was hard. It was hard.
It's choking me.
The pain was.
Were you listening earlier and heard J-Lo's drop that we're going to use 1,000,000 times next week?
I came in sort of close to the end.
No, you missed it. Then. You missed. That was early on.
Well, you'll have to stick around for Patreon.
Yeah, that'll be on Patreon. That everyone can hear that on Patreon, people.
Sorry, guys.
How's New York? Halloween weekend. This must be a fun weekend, right?
Yeah.
What's your weather like? You got good weather, or
decent weather? Yeah, I'm heading up Sunday. I'm going to go to an event up in Massachusetts called the Hexpo, cannabis and Halloween combined. Our buddy Bobby Nugs putting together that event. It should be fun. And
cannabis. They were always combined, and we need a name for it now.
Yeah.
Well, it's an actual expo. With booths and everything, and
you're dressed up
Halloween,
and so everyone's dressed up at their booth.
We used to just call them homes that we went and knocked on the door and said trick or treat and got candy.
Oh, then you get candy at everybody's little booth. I get it. That's easy. Boom, get a little bag, roll around. I get it. Waka, waka, waka. So get a little diabetes. It's like diabetes in a nutshell for everybody. Here you go. Got 40 booths, 40 kinds of chocolate. And
we're looking back now, and all those people who gave out granola, you want to go, you knew something, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, look what you knew.
The hippies were right about everything.
We use a lot of Danko drops, just so you know.
Oh, we didn't even. We were like, he didn't send you the link, and we were like, well, we don't really need them anyway. We could just do all the drops. We just do drops all day, and we're like,
we did that with Ed for like 15 minutes.
We had Ed thinking we were on the show for a while. It was good. Yeah.
This is global.
Shows worldwide.
Yeah, just worldwide, bro.
I've heard.
Relax, bro. Relax.
Just relax, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show Telescopic.
Telescopic on the end. He's hiding behind Danko's crown, and now we can put on.
But Mark walked away, so there's nothing we can do.
No, we're stuck. Yeah. What do you got? So what's the next event now? You're on the event tour.
Hexpo.
Right. There's Hexpo
first
Sunday, and then Harvest Cup November 11th and 12th up in Worcester, Mass.
Worcester. Back to Worcester.
That's always
the armpit of fucking Massachusetts, right there.
You know, cannabis is changing Worcester a lot. I mean, there's dispensaries all over Worcester. This event is at the
there's guys all fucking opiated out, like leaning up against every dispensary, holding it up or whatever. Great.
It's part of the economy now, and it's definitely improved the town and like really become a part of it. And the event itself, the Harvest Cup, is at the MCU Center, which is like a big hockey arena.
Gotcha.
I think it used to be the Worcester Centrum. I saw the Beastie Boys there in 1986.
Nice.
You gotta fight.
Nice year.
With Murphy's Law. I've seen the Beastie Boys a bunch of times. That was the first time. That was Murphy's Law,
like
Public Enemy.
Paul Revere.
Licensed to
That
Ill
was later.
Tour.
That was later. That was like
Paul Revere. No, this is around that time. Licensed to Ill Tour.
Licensed to Ill Tour first, and then Paul Revere.
Have
you ever?
Paul Revere was on Licensed to Ill.
Do you know the words?
Oh, do you mean just?
Of course.
Yeah.
Can we just like do it sometime?
Go.
What?
Maybe
go
not.
ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead. Nobody's listening.
There's a little story I got to tell about Adam and J-Lo and Dave that you all love so well. We smoke a bunch of weed and and rosin hash. And my podcast actually teaches you how to grow your stash.
Oh,
Telly, beatbox.
Nice. Come on, Telly, save
Come
us.
on, Telly, beatbox.
I can get my kid in here. I'm going to get my 10-year-old to come in here and beatbox you down.
Wow, that was pretty good.
That was pretty good, yeah. He's working
For
on
a
it.
middle-aged guy?
For a middle-aged guy. Hey.
With horns on your head.
Not
He's
bad.
in his young 20s.
No, he always comes through on the roast.
Yeah, that. I remember the roast.
This is the only show where I can actually be myself. You know, normally I'm like a corporate shill.
I know, and that's why we love you so much.
That is a drop. Oh, please, Vinny.
I'm like,
we got it. We got it. Oh, yeah, we got it. This is
So, Danko, why don't you have a fucking dispensary? I mean, why don't you just open up shop? I'm seeing, somebody just sent me an article, Syracuse. They're like, the Syracuse, whatever their paper is like a dispensary just opened up. There are no licenses whatsoever, and nobody seems to care.
Nice.
Go ahead.
I mean,
it.
You know,
Do
I'm a journalist.
Just do it as a story.
Really?
Make it into a story. Be like, this is a story.
It's a documentary.
I'm putting this together. Documentary of a thing that didn't happen.
You put the camera
like,
on.
I'm a grown-ass
If anything,
man.
Any
if anything,
camera.
I want a consumption lounge. I want a place, you know, where I can just be like Jake LaMotta and just walk around smoking people, telling
LaMotta. You just
stories.
dated yourself. J-Lo. Who's Jake LaMotta?
She doesn't know. You can have a big cigar when you walk around, like a
I was
big
trying to
fake
think if I
big
knew
weed
anything.
cigar.
Tell people stories and smoke
Who
their
played
weed.
him in the movie?
Yeah,
Back
exactly.
in
You should
1995.
have Victor come help you out. He should be the maitre d'. You should have Victor as the maitre d'. That'd be the sickest.
Absolutely.
That would be the
Greeting
sickest.
people at the door like Joe Louis.
You'd be like, oh God, here,
Well,
who's this
Mark's
guy?
back. I guess he can move the thing off of Telly.
I invented weed.
I love Victor.
So we wanted to ask you a question. Vinny brought up a really good point earlier. He's pretty confident that the entire surroundings, besides myself, is an Adam Dunn cult. Can you? What do you think? Cult behavior? These guys work for free.
Everything is
For free. He invites people over and they smile while they trim his weed. Okay?
For
They bring him
$20,
shit.
you can join, and at the end, if you
cult.
don't have eternal salvation, I will give you 3 times your money
In
back.
2 years, I guarantee you they're claiming it as a church and a tax write-off. It 100%.
That's my move. Don't even go there.
There's a lot worse cults you can join. for sure.
Vinny is the
You know?
high septum.
Yeah.
You know,
It's when they know. You gotta like keep them so they don't know they're in the cult. Shh.
no, Vinny let his cat out of the bag today. He's like, I'm letting you know something. You guys are all in a cult. And we're like, what are you
It's in the
talking about?
chat.
It's in the chat?
It's in the chat. It's official.
Oh,
Did
gosh.
Micro?
Honestly,
did
I
Micro
thought this
officially?
was-
As long as Micro is approved,
I
we're
didn't
good
see
to
him
go.
tonight.
What? Micro's not in the chat.
No, he was here earlier.
Okay.
I thought this was a
Dave wasn't
baseball
looking hard
podcast.
enough.
I thought it was
Adam
Adam
showed out.
Dunn's show.
You like me?
You know,
You
the
like-
World Series is on. I thought that we were going to talk, you know,
I
base
forgot.
hits and home runs.
Let's
and
go
stuff.
Stros.
It's inside baseball with Adam Dunn here. You know?
Mark.
See, we got it.
I was actually in Texas for the World Series.
Oh, whoa! Let's go over that for a second because you guys want to hear this
Let's
story.
talk
It's not a Bill
Yeah,
Burr
you
show
know,
or something.
let's talk
Bill
about
Burr's the
it.
only guy that I'll listen to.
Let's-
No.
Hang on.
About sports.
Mark-
It's Bill Burr. That's
wasn't
it.
sports.
I don't know nothing.
This has nothing to do with sports, but guys, Mark almost got deported by a parking attendant at an exclusive condo place in Texas.
What did he do?
so close.
They literally almost called the federales on him and
Yeah.
took him south, like from Up in
NCI?
Smoke.
Yeah, we were feuding.
He
Me and my
literally-
whole family was about to take on this one dude.
He opened up the story with, I almost drove the rental car through this guy's little security booth.
Isn't that the plot to Born in East LA?
I think
pretty
so.
much.
so.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Why'd you remind him?
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's
pretty
exactly
Sure,
the
we
plot.
had him going the whole time.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm glad he's not arrested.
Yep, we're good.
Thank
I'm back.
you, Mark.
I'm back.
Don't
and-
go to Texas again. Oh,
Oh,
wait.
I'm going back this weekend.
He's going to see Elton John in Texas. And he's not coming to Terptown tomorrow. But it's probably the only valid excuse you could have.
I'm gonna be there, and he's
Well, I
not
mean,
gonna
he's
be
like,
there.
yeah, I know. I know, dude. It's a very
No
long
wonder
story.
I just heard about
I can
this.
tell you all about it.
No wonder I
What
just
is
heard
an
this
a-hole?
story because he knows I would have laughed my ass off
Oh, whatever.
for hours, and now I'm like forced to not laugh too much because I'm on the show. So I have
Wait,
to
Well, I was gonna miss it
restrain
anyways
myself.
because I was gonna be in San Diego, and you guys don't remember this because I wrote it in the fucking
Yeah,
thing.
bullshit.
Oh,
I kind of fucked up this show though.
cry me a river.
Yeah.
I let Mason and Brian leave without seeing if they would do Danko show in 2 weeks.
Oh,
Mark and
I apologize,
I
Danko.
scared them
Danko.
away.
It's all good.
Normally we
I
do
got their
that to make
contact
sure
info.
we make sure everybody knows.
I got their contact info.
Yeah.
so
Were
we're
you
good.
listening to the show? I mean, did you know she could speak for so long articulately?
I was so aggressive tonight.
She's gonna do a
I made
show
like
tomorrow.
14 shots.
I mean, I'm Team Mason, so I.
Are you
We
totally?
can go right back into it.
Look at
I mean,
that.
I
all of his every single point he said. 'Cause
He
we-
got me to change my position
I'm
on
team.
fucking Biden's little fucking
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, I
still think it's a hollow gesture,
It's
but
swag.
I get it now.
It's symbolic, but
Yeah.
it's symbolic in the right direction. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
it's that's the way I see it.
Really, the person we want to hear from is Telly, because he would send me fucking notes all the time. You're not for that fucking Democrat. They're not for this. And
Ooh,
as soon
Kelly,
as I
look at
took
you,
out,
Mr. Politics over here.
Listen,
he's
it's pretty
smart.
obvious.
He knows his
If you
shit.
wanna-
Telepolitics.
If you want to talk
I'm a
politics,
one
it's
issue
clear
voter,
that
but-
Republicans are anti-weed. I mean, that's been well established.
Yes.
Telescopalics?
There might
Hold
be
on a
one or
second.
two out there that aren't, but
will you guys pause
know.
for a sec so I can rub this lamp and see what happens?
Let me take
Nothing.
a dab first.
it's going to be that kind of
Do
party.
you have this? Is this thing working?
Is this thing on?
Is this thing on?
Is this thing on?
Hey, is this thing on over here?
Wait, Dave, I need your.
Oh, what? You want that one?
If
Sorry.
you can, I got this.
Yeah, I can
I'm
do
having a
it.
problem.
I gave it to Adam.
I'm having a problem because diamond mine.
Why is Adam
Because I
having-
have too big of diamonds and they're
Oh.
it's a problem.
What
I'll
strain
smoke
is
that.
that?
Move it up a little bit.
I got
Shit.
Whoa, I got problems.
Look, put it up there.
Problems.
You just need more sauce.
Oh.
You just need a little sauce.
Same amount. It's scientifically designed to be the exact
I
same
want
amount, but it
some
just happens to be
buckets.
ridiculous.
That is ridiculous, Doc.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, dog.
You can just leave it there, Dave. We don't have to.
Who is this guy?
What are you trying?
I
Oh, there
can't
it
believe
is.
we did a show without
Grow your staff.
MTI. Stop leaving us. Yeah,
What? What's going on?
I'm tired of.
And
him
next week I have a
taking time
concert, so I'm
off.
going to start
Oh
the
my
show.
God, look at
And
this.
then I got to go. And
We're-
then-
no,
I'm
but the
sorry.
Pot Brothers are coming on
I
next
know I'm
week.
coming on. I'll be here early for the first show.
Man. You know the word.
What are you talking about? You guys had
Oh,
no
damn it.
hookups last week. There's 0 hiccups last week, right?
We lost.
What?
Right?
No hookups.
Danny's
Hiccups.
face.
Zero
They're
Hookups.
kinda
His
worse.
face
Hiccups.
back.
Hiccups.
Oh.
Where did
Danko
Danko
go?
go? Danko's disappeared.
Oh.
I'm here.
No,
I'm
you're just
here.
no. We're
Yeah,
looking at
but-
some
Hold
camera
me
thing.
closer,
thing.
tiny
Can we do
Danko.
both?
Well, you wanted
No.
it.
Oh.
Don't worry.
J-Lo already said the thing about a
That
box.
was
You don't want to
good.
be talking about your tiny Danko on the show, okay? Really, it's just not. It's not appropriate. We're a weed show. We talk about weed.
Yeah, we try not.
Always weed. Right, Rosenhugs.
Never anything else.
I'm not the only one in costume, Mark. She is not only in costume, but her whole persona has changed.
She's a method actress.
She's
tonight.
a method actress of Christina. She's a Christina Aguilera / method actress.
You're getting a phone call. Do you need to speak to Neil?
I was.
Neil's off.
You want
Take
to? You
it
want to put
easy.
Neil on?
You need to take it easy.
No.
I need to go for a
Oh,
jog.
look at that.
You don't tell everybody when you're
oh,
on.
I didn't even know who you were, dude.
No,
I
I
thought you
don't.
were someone else.
Danko,
Totally
tell
fooled
us
me, bro.
what's-
Oh,
I think that you should tell us what's going on over there. It seems
What do you mean
better.
there?
Actually, tell us how fucked
Well,
High
I can
Times
tell
has
you all
been
about it
since
when
you
you're on my
left.
show next week.
Oh, that's
But,
perfect.
Oh, good 2
New York
weeks.
is
2
wild.
weeks.
It's 2 weeks, but that's good.
Are you still under some type of
Fortnite.
non-disclosure agreement with High Times? Can we start ripping them now? Has it been long enough?
No.
There's no non-disclosure agreement, and I don't
We've already
rip
done it.
anybody. You know what I
I
mean?
I love how it's like it's
They
okay.
hang-
I had a good run
They-
over
they-
there.
they hang-
I had a really good 13 years and then a pretty crappy 3 years, and they went into a different direction, and
Yeah.
that's the direction that they went.
Ed is much more open about his complete lack of liking High Times now. So
Well, nah, we've all been there. Though.
I mean,
like the thing about High Times, which is funny, is that I got suckered into hating on like the whole thing early. Like I was probably one of the early adopters. I was an early adopter because I was dealing with them on a personal level once a year, and I saw how it was like weird. It was like almost like I was watching corporate America come over in a strange way, even though it was all hippies and they were all like rainbow family, but it was a big mess. And at the same time, but everybody got really like power trippy about their positions, you know what I mean? Because I could just see it was kind of weird. So I saw that, and I was always like, every year I had a whole year to attack with the right angles, you know what I mean? So like when, if I knew the theme, I would theme my weed that way, you know what I mean? So as I delivered it, you remember it. You remember how I was always making sure.
Conspiracy cup especially. And, you know, funnily
surprisingly, you know, no, and you know the funny part about
Who'd
that?
you tell about that?
I remember whispering in your ear. I was all MK Ultra. Do you remember that day? Yeah, I go, MK Ultra, and I was doing it from I do it from this side of your ear, and then I go to the other side. I go, MK Ultra, it's the best weed.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is those are the days I look back on the most fondly, because you know, even with all of that, you know, it was a brand I was proud of.
Yeah,
at that time, and you know,
we always had fun. The thing is that we just had fun, you know, because it was a cup.
Yeah.
And then people got all mad at us because we were having fun, and so I got the hate from like Hager and all that crew because they thought I was making fun of their fucking thing that I was.
You probably were.
I was totally making fun of it, but I was trying to do it, you know, in my nice way, in my nice-ish
you
way.
participated though. So, I mean, some people just dropped out, and I mean that's the thing. It's like
I always tried to go big or go. You know, it was never like here's my little wimpy booth. I was always trying to make the ridiculous booth. Like, how big can we go? How high? There's no limit on height? I get it. We're going high. You know what I mean, there's always something like that.
It's like guys that drive big trucks, I feel like.
That is not like that.
It's like their booth sizes.
It was nothing like that. I was just trying to make an impact at every show.
Sponsored the whole event.
He built the big rocket one year, so.
The big rocket, yeah, that was a good one.
So did J-Lo.
The rocket.
You guys just be careful.
The THC, the Trichome Challenge.
Trichome Challenge, which actually, no, this is funny. Reality's kicking in because I'm like, holy shit, next year is 30 years. I got like so much work to do to be like, get to maximize the most out of it. Because
2 snowblowers.
I missed 20 years. I missed 10 years. I missed all the years. Every time it was like a big, it's 10 years, me and Doug would barely like do anything. You know what I mean? We'd be like, too busy. Fuck, we're too. And then 20 years, it was kind of like, I don't know, maybe we'd put out a little bit of couple little promotional things, but it wasn't like a big deal.
Let's go to the milk
Now we're
bag.
at 30 years. We're like, okay, this is it. Because next time we're not even be able to be like, hey, 40 years. And then 50, forget about it.
What? You look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know,
Vinny's 65. Look at how good he looks.
In 2 years, it's going to be the 50-year anniversary of High Times, you know, so they've had their ups and downs.
That's funny. We're all on the same.
And
You are so political.
I had a lot more good times over there than bad.
High Times is cool for the fact that I was stoked to work with them just because I thought it was cool because I love the magazine.
I got to travel the world and go to Amsterdam dozens of times, go to Vancouver and Northern California and meet people that are still my friends to this day.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chef Ra. Rest in peace.
Chef Ra. The overall experience was incredible and life-chinging and amazing.
The blacks.
And, you know, then there was and then there was some times that weren't so great, and I think it's like that with anything, you know. But the opposite of love isn't hate; it's indifference. So, you know, if you hate something,
because you got these horns, you're all wise now. Is that what's going on?
Hate and love are cousins. Hate and love are very closely related.
You wear a couple horns and you get all.
Let's not interrupt him. He's giving us nugs. You go ahead.
Keep going.
The floor is yours. Pontificate.
Hate and love are cousins, and they're closely related. If you hate something, it's because you love it so much that it can't live up to your expectations.
Oh, that's the classics.
but indifference is the opposite of love, right? So
are you sure you're not running?
Well, I always compare that to like when you were in school. You always
is my cult.
Whoever you hated them because they were probably like you. You know what I mean? And you secretly just beat on, and then all of a sudden you became best friends. You're like, why are we fighting? I don't know, man.
Practically the same person, man.
No,
you like weed too?
What?
Yeah, no way.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
Like whenever someone tells you really got to meet so and so,
and then they suck.
You're gonna love them, and then you meet them. You're like,
what the fuck?
What?
And then your mom tells you you can never come over
This is how
again.
you see me.
Yeah.
That's kind of like why we have J-Lo here.
That's fucked up.
I had that exact thing when I left on the East Coast and I came back like a year later, and then everyone's like, "You got to meet Joey Del Vecchio, bro." And I go and I meet him, and I'm
Joey
like, Del Vecchio. I remember his name, right? And I go, that guy. I was like, he had like curly hair, and he was like Portuguese, and I was like, that is nothing like me. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
What's wrong with curly hair?
I'm talking curly, like
his gel is extra
tight curls. Like
That'll get you fired.
Like your pube mask.
No,
You'll be talking to HR tonight.
I'm talking like it would grow out like a basketball, I was like, that is not me.
No.
I got more of a helmet. I got a helmet head, basketball head.
You can't say
Two
that.
different people. You can say that. Of course you can.
Danko.
So, Mr.
Danko's
Danko.
like, I gave up a Friday night for this?
No, he loves it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, we have Carlos. We can get Carlos on whenever. I give him the link. I said,
You going to bump Danko?
No, we can do it together. No, together. You know Carlos.
He's out here. Yeah.
You know
I think he's out here on the East Coast. I believe so.
What he came up from Chile to there?
Oh, I'm thinking of Jan Carlos.
Oh, fuck.
No, he's in Reston.
No, we couldn't even fit him on the screen with
I
you.
just
What are you
spoke to him
talking about?
yesterday.
How could we have him and you?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
I just spoke to him yesterday, actually.
Because you're a cop, or he
So did
wasted
I.
a call on you?
So did I.
Sorry. Sorry. Just a question. Okay, moving on.
No, he's trying to get a project going in Jersey, and needs a little real estate support.
Yeah, we are. So getting asked from Jersey from Vegas if we're going to be on that Friday. Of course, we have to be. So, do we know where, when, how, what's going on? No.
We gotta plan.
I've been invited to go see Bob Weir at Sweetwater.
I don't need you anyway.
What the fuck is that supposed to
do we
be?
need Dave? I don't think we need Dave.
Do Grateful Dead things.
No, we'll do a show like Thursday or something from Jerome Baker's.
I will do
We
it.
don't need to hang out together.
We'll just do it on our own.
Yeah.
INDEP.
No, from here.
We're going to be in Vegas.
Vegas, when are we going?
That means?
Oh,
And I'll be around.
Check
your emails.
I don't. Oh, yowzers!
Nobody's.
Are you going, Danny?
I don't believe so.
What?
Unless I can find
We have you on the flyer.
No,
I have you on the flyer already.
He needs
If I can find a
somebody.
sponsor.
There it is.
We'll sponsor you.
Come on,
Check my
I gotta
emails.
find your sponsor.
Someone
now?
wants to pay me to sit at their booth and
I tried
sign
to tell
books
him
and
to
stuff
say
like that.
to his Leaf magazine
bring
that he
Danny.
could be part of our event.
Yes.
And get him, billing on the card.
What?
Promote the magazine.
And they said
but
no.
he shot me down. No, he
Well, we
didn't
just
even
don't
want to
have a
present
budget
it to
for
them.
that right now.
He doesn't like us.
Nobody has the budget.
Oh, I would love
for
to.
it.
The budget to fly you out? They don't have the budget to fly you out. We don't even.
Dave's already secretly
All we need
doing
is
that
your
for me.
participation, Danny.
Oh,
We're independent.
We don't need
You know,
big
this isn't
money.
we're not corporate.
We don't need big money. We need you with a big box of magazines, looking,
I mean, come on.
huffing
you're
and
not going
puffing
to
up the
strip
stairs,
club.
and then we get there and we go, "Thanks,
We are
Danny,"
not going to
and then we
the
hand you a bunch of weed, and then you
been
just
to
lay
since
around
91.
and be Danny Danko for 3 days. Come on,
They said.
come on, get on it.
Yeah,
We
I'm
got
more
2 weeks.
interested in Hawaii. I want to be at
What?
Hawaii Cannabis Expo in February. That's a funner trip for me than Vegas.
Funner.
I've been to Vegas enough times, and
Oh, wait.
Vegas is
Wow.
Vegas.
Wow.
Just shot us
Danko.
down.
I'll go.
I don't want to be
Listen,
at
I'll
your
go.
party with you guys
but,
in Vegas. I'd rather go to
Sauce.
Hawaii, to Oahu, by not even real
Are
Hawaii.
you guys doing
Let's
Emerald
do
Cup?
that.
There?
Oahu.
Can we go
You
there?
guys doing
Like,
Emerald
come
Cup
on.
in December?
Emerald Cup,
Where's
maybe. It's always a maybe. You never know.
Yeah,
It's
same
always a
with me.
maybe. It's always a maybe.
maybe.
Yeah, sponsor me, man.
So call me maybe.
Call me, maybe.
Call you baby?
Oh, don't get her going. She's already Christina Aguilera.
Oh,
Clip
it's
that.
this
Call
you.
me
Vinny,
maybe.
clip that.
Oh shit!
look at that
she
shit,
did
dude.
she did the whole thing, and she was doing this. Oh my god, she had to
All
dance.
right.
You've awakened a beast.
That's
Danny.
interesting.
Did we not pay the heating bill in here or something?
I know.
Oh, stop with your whining.
It is cold though.
Put your sleeves down.
Oh,
Here, I got torches.
If you can't see your breath, the show's fine. And even if you could, you wouldn't notice it because we have
My
smoke
pants
everywhere.
are
So
flammable.
you guys are just going to have to deal with it. That's it.
Oh,
Danny,
right
do you have
there.
heat? Do you have heat where you live? Because we don't.
You know, it's funny. I turn it off.
We live in a void. We live in a void.
Podcast because it's loud and my microphone's very sensitive.
And you
so I
edit,
turn off
so-
the heat.
Yeah.
And I end up shivering through the last 20 minutes of my appearances.
How long does it take you to edit your
Shivering in your
hour?
own place? That's not that shouldn't be.
Edit my what?
How long does it take you to edit your show after you?
Oh, he doesn't do anything. He just hands it off to somebody and
Mike
goes.
G edits it.
Oh,
my partner and co-host.
Oh, oh no.
He does the editing.
Don't do 15 seconds of that and get us caught. Jesus.
I did.
We're getting caught already.
We're getting caught already?
Yep.
So did you?
I already
We
got
got
an
the
email.
show pulled
You should see the old ones on
when we
on,
showed a
Christian's ones.
South Park link or a South Park clip.
Oh, yeah. Don't play South Park on your show.
Yeah.
Because it's like bumping
Yeah,
right
you
now.
got to be
It's
careful with
Don't do
that.
anything creative
Trademark.
or fun. Don't put anything cool, nothing fun.
Don't dress up like
Yeah,
a
don't
bee.
do anything creative like use other
Rein it
people's
in.
stuff and put it on your show.
I like how you
That's
call
creative.
that creative.
Hey, fuck you, mom.
Being creative with their
We
stuff.
appreciate all artists.
Okay, I like it, Picasso.
We try.
So-
We try. So,
Says the
just so you're,
Sampling.
That is
man.
so creepy.
so you're
Put
going
that
to.
down. Ew.
Oh,
Ew.
scary.
I don't want him
Ooh.
to sit next to me.
What? That's
Not
it?
with his face on. Ew.
Wow. Now we know
This is
all
what
her.
we're all gonna look like in a couple of 100,000 years.
I hope so.
Sorry. It was just gross.
What are you smoking? You
Way
can't.
better than
Can
what
you
I'm
smoke
looking at.
there? Because you're. Is that your not smoking area? Because you have to go outside in the real cold if you want to smoke.
You know, I can hit a vape pen. I guess.
All right, we'll
or,
get a vape pen, dude. Come on, hang out with us. Don't be
Yeah,
lame.
bro.
Just sit there with your
Hang
freaking
out,
horns
dude.
on and don't do nothing. Yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
on
yeah,
podcast.
he's gonna get in trouble. Watch.
Danny,
are you
smoking again? Something smells. Something smells like somebody hit a skunk.
Watch the Adam Dunn show to see Danny Danko get caught.
You can't say that, man. You're gonna get him in trouble.
Allegedly.
Formerly known as
Looking at me
Danny
like I'm
Danko.
crazy. Yeah. You know what? As long as I'm not making any money,
Oh, that's definitely not happening tonight, so don't worry about it. You're
then I
clear.
can use whatever name I want.
There you go.
Money? What does that mean?
Money.
Money.
Yeah, don't,
I don't
it's not even a thing anymore. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know. It's fake.
Just
I know.
That was
don't
That's
worry
my-
about it.
That's my dead name, and I wish you guys would stop using it.
Your lot name.
Dead.
That's your lot.
Whoa.
That's your lot name.
Smoke a bunch of weed, and I'm formerly rosin known hash. as.
Did you even see what you got? Did you even see what you
Podcast
got?
actually teaches me. My new name is a symbol.
She doesn't even know that's for her.
She doesn't
Happy
know. She doesn't-
Halloween.
That's her Halloween.
My
present.
new
She
name.
got-
My new name
A
is
bunch
just
of
a
weed for you
symbol.
to
say you can
and
trim,
it's a
but-
pot
Whoa,
leaf.
whoa, what, Danny? What?
Sorry.
My new name is just a symbol, and it's a pot
Gave
leaf.
it to everybody. I gave
Nice,
everybody.
dude.
Because
Oh Jesus!
We can do with
Oh,
that.
happy, happy, happy.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to
trim
do it yourself.
Keep 13 Cushage, Tropicana cookies, and
Are you
Tropicana
okay?
cookies.
Oh, I could do
I
that.
kind of
Yeah,
want
I
to
can
cry.
do
I'm
that
kind
too.
of getting emotional.
What drugs are we on tonight?
Just to do one of these now. Vapors. Yeah, HB good.
Shout out to Grove Bags.
Yeah, that's also why I brought them. Because I had them. Because I had them. Soon to have Adam Dunn Show Grove Bags coming at you
Can
soon. I think flags will be in order and a few other things. So, flag skulls and a few others.
This is so beautiful.
We need to
You know
take
Lance, of course, right? Grove Bags.
Lance Lambert.
Yes.
You know Lance.
Yeah. Yeah. I just did a grow class here at a grow shop in Brooklyn, and they had those bags there.
They're good bags.
And yeah, very interesting.
You need a Dan,
Unique.
formerly known as Danny Danko bag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
that,
sure.
that would be sweet.
It's nice. It's nice to teach a class in a hydro shop though, because they have all the equipment right there. You can
Right, you just
point at
pull it
things.
over. Yeah,
You just
exactly.
point at things and go, see, buy the tent, and then you get the fan, and
Oh yeah.
you get a light. And
Props are all there
props
for
your
you.
uncle.
Actually,
Yeah.
if you're going to the MJ BizCon and you're going to be inside, if you stop by the Grove Bags booth, they will make you a little tchotchke bag with your face on it right there.
Tchotchke?
Really?
Yeah, they'll
What the
do
fuck
it for
is
you.
a tchotchke?
Like the little tchotchkes you take from a fucking conference. The
fuckity fuck.
The
Whoa,
squeegees.
Dave, give Dave a slow him down. Slow him
The
down.
squeegees.
Dave's
The
getting out,
little
Ramon.
notepads.
I was gonna just mute.
What they give you, at a conference.
Never heard that.
Oh, okay. Well, then enjoy MJ BizCon.
Oh yeah, tchotchke heaven.
I'm
Tchotchke
just gonna
heaven.
be like,
over there.
thank you for the tchotchkes.
Yes.
There you go. Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
Now you're getting it.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Danko understood tchotchke.
Sorry.
He lives. That's how he lives by.
Can you take a dab so we can see you actually do it?
No, actually,
You know what? There's
you
nothing
need
like
to
close to
clean
me.
it.
I'd have to walk away and like.
What? You're just showing us a dab rig?
Well, I mean, I don't.
And he
I
might
thought
get
I
his
had
antlers stuck on
something
something.
What if you go
nearby.
out?
I mean,
You
I
can get
could.
stuck
I'd
on the
have-
door with the door frame.
I'd have to leave and come back if that's okay with you. guys.
Yeah, of course.
We're always
Like,
okay
you think we're
with that.
correct around here or something?
All right, I'm gonna put it on the big him.
Keeping
until,
us on the edge.
Oh yeah, put it on the.
Yeah, I'll
on
put it
the
in big
toes.
view until he's gone.
Oh wow! Until he's gone. Like I like that. That's dramatic. Oh, we get to see him without his thing. Oh, it's not real.
Yep.
I thought it was.
I thought it was too.
So now we got telly politics.
No.
Oh, no, Biden.
Just
sorry.
relax, bro.
Just yelling at Dave for making bad cannabis votes.
What are you doing,
happened now?
Dave?
It was
important thing
a
is
while
to
ago,
free the
and he
flower.
keeps giving me shit for it.
What happened now, Dave?
It's okay, Dave.
It's okay.
I don't know.
It's okay. I'm just gonna keep getting him on the dead jokes. So
Oh, well,
Slay
what are we
away.
talking about? Go. Let's hear
Sorry.
it. I could always use a good
I'm
dead
just
joke.
chilly.
it's all about timing.
Oh, hold on.
Look
let's
at the
get-
big
All about
picture.
timing.
Let me get Carlos on here now because he's.
But I was quite impressed with Mason and Brian in regards to their
was a good
towing the
conversation.
line.
Yes.
I understand. I'm glad we didn't get into 122 because that probably would have been tough. I would have had to call in the big guns and we would have had to get Travis on the phone or something. But I just can't get behind again. I'm just going to say it again. You might have different opinion, but I'm not for 122. I just would like to see what comes next. I know a lot of people think it's just for personal consumption and personal use, but it really isn't. Okay?
Nope.
It really isn't. This is one.
Oh, we didn't really get into that with them because
No.
we were.
You got to listen to your
Sorry.
experts.
We were gonna lose.
Not really
Sorry.
lose, but we were going to get them all in a bad
Yeah.
zone where it was like, all right, we totally don't
Do you
agree
think
on
I
that, and we're never going to
ruined
agree on that.
No.
Now let's keep moving on. So and she did a good job keeping the non-agreements
yeah.
going. So that was fine.
That was quite spicy.
Sorry about that.
Spicy.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Stop apologizing.
No,
it was
no,
great.
no,
It was
no,
great.
no,
no.
We were happy to. I was
paying
great.
attention, yeah.
The best part was that for the most part you were nailing it, and people were like, Mason was like, oh, I never thought of that before. So it's like, there was a lot of those, and I agreed with most of everything you said. I'd say.
Yeah, I'm on your
so
side with that
nice,
too.
guys.
It's too hard to operate especially when you're trying to operate well. It's still way too hard to operate.
Well, let's.
And the points that he made were obvious as far as like, yeah, you can run a place clean and obviously you can do all that, but it's more from the reality of like knowing the industry and seeing like you can never compete on an organic greenhouse to an indoor operation, clean, high end, $2 million, $10 million facility and have a $500,000 greenhouse on an acre, and be able to really pull it off and make inroads without the branding and all of that come with it. And of course, they're just, they are making it harder and harder for people to get into to those levels.
280E on top.
Right.
Which is now going to stop eventually.
No,
what was
it's
the deal
no.
with that? I heard it was. No?
No,
we were hoping
it's
for a
not.
different answer.
280E is going to stay the way it is.
That's the worst thing ever.
but-
That 280E is what kills
Using
businesses.
Brian and Mason's logic for a second, I would consider it a win if one of the 5 states that is looking to create a regulatory, framework for legalizing cannabis, if they said to all the other legal states, we want to hire the best people in your industry right now to come over and help us write our laws. Now that would be a major leap forward, right? A new state coming on saying, you know what? We're not going to do it the same way. We're not going to just have the people who ran alcohol enforcement or... clam down.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I did it.
Vinny.
I
sorry.
did it.
Oh, geez. Somebody's getting electrocuted.
I be the one who did it.
So that's what I would like to see.
I haven't done one B joke.
That was good.
Haven't even done one B joke.
Has the chat done anything like that? I mean, I figure rosin and uncut would be ripe with B jokes.
I'm good.
Although this is the time of year I did speak with Uncut yesterday because
I am pollinating.
It is the time of the year.
So I'm about to. Not quite yet.
That all of us tax the UPS company, and he has to work too much right now. So stop ordering. I guess the solution is we shouldn't ship anything with UPS.
I never do. Anyway.
So that Uncut can be available.
UPS is too expensive. They're like crazy expensive. You go in there and you're like, I need to mail this jacket, right? And they'll be like, that'll be $46, and you're like, $46, right. And you go to like normal UPS or USPS, and it's like 20. 21.
Actually, it's bullshit anyway because Mark
and they make
can
you
tell
fucking pull your ID for everything. Like, doesn't matter what you're sending. They're like, yeah, what are you sending, man? What? They do measurements, and you're like, okay, relax.
No, just go for it, bro.
Hey, we got Carlos.
Nobody cares.
Danko's back.
Danko's back, and Carlos is in. Carlos, get some good light on you. Where's your costume? This is not you. What is it? Oh, it's some guy dressed up like Carlos. I get it. Ha ha.
And he's muted, and his phone is the wrong direction.
My bad, bro.
It's all right. You're a black. You're a guy who started a black tuna company.
Nobody noticed that Danko had his horns on backwards.
All right, turn your side. Yep, there you go. Boom.
Are they backwards?
Yep,
yes.
Got you.
Did you have Harry Potter robes on?
Jesus. Oh, the magic is over, bro. That was it. You killed the magic by doing that. You should have never done it.
Welcome to the show, Carlos.
Hey, Carlos, nice that you got in this time. So last week, Danny, I'm going to keep Danny in the story now. So last week, Carlos was supposed to be on the show, but then we realized that he was getting on a flight around the same time. He thought it was a 2-hour flight. It was a 5-hour flight or a 6-hour flight, which just shows you how much he's checking his flights. Like me. That's like me. Like, I got a 2-hour flight. And then it's like, oh, it's actually 6 hours. And that day was gone. But he went down to Chile, the expo down there, and Dabadoo.
Dabadoo?
Of course.
Mila party.
Yeah.
Mila Janssen, worldwide. She's gone worldwide, bro.
That was where Lance was in Santiago, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody was there. And Carlos won, or he at least represented the winning hash. I think what was the deal? What did you guys win?
With my buddy Colombian Exotics, I did the whole selection, and we grew it, and then he extracted it, and we entered it with him in Dabadoo, and we placed second place best water hash, and second place best rosin hash. So it was a great thing because it's the first time that a Colombian crew wins Dabadoo. The second Latin member that wins a Dabadoo.
That's funny.
And the first Colombian crew that wins a Dabadoo. So yeah, for sure, big props to the whole team.
Yabba dabba doo.
Congratulations.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because like I think between the time I knew you weren't going to be on the show, and then the next day I was like, damn, and he won right out of the gate. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah, you know it, bro. You know everything that we've been able to source from. Specifically for those that don't know, Adam here changed the game in Colombia back, in '96 with his genetics. They were the first ones that actually, overall did the best in our climates, and not only that, actually, set a standard and a breeding ground for the good cannabis today in Colombia, right? So props to the Sage Master for that, and obviously, like everything, we work with all of our boys and our close friends. This industry is very united, and at the same time, I feel that everybody I know in this industry is because they either know somebody that referred me to them, that knew me for who I was, and the work we put in. So it's always such a familiar vibe, especially when you're opening new markets, but bringing in like all those good spirits that come from the States, that come from Europe, to make things better in the countries that are beginning to do what you guys have been doing for so many years, right? So that's my job, to unite these worlds and to be able to, to leave our little grain of sand in the industry so people from here on forward can understand, why cannabis is so special to such a small and growing group of people in the world, right? That take it seriously, because there's the commercial users that, it's either like a fab or it's, because they get a quick feeling out of it that they want, maybe to do exercise, maybe to relax, but that don't realize, the background of all these things. And then there's us, the people that, even if it's legal, if it's not legal, if it's regulated, if it's not regulated, if it's accepted, if it's not accepted, if it's green, if it's white, it doesn't matter. We're still going to do it. We're going to keep on doing what we've been doing. It's like they tell me, it's like, oh, what are you going to do if they don't legalize it in Colombia? And I'll be like, well, I'm either going to be an underground pirate here, or I got to go to the States where I can get, maybe.
Well, you're based in Santa Marta also, which is like synonymous with cannabis from back in the day, and so it was kind of like. And what you were talking about originally was like, so when Gato, who's like one of the more. Definitely one of the most professional, one of the most professional growers out there as far as like taking things big, and he really showed me. There he is,
Hey, Alan,
and there he is live. I'm just talking about you.
Danny, how's it going, brother?
Hey, how are you?
We got Danny in here. We got Gato on there.
Yeah.
Well, so Gato came first to Amsterdam. I obviously everybody saw immediately that he had humongous balls because he was wearing giant like necklaces.
I thought you were going to say tight shorts.
No, he had huge nuts because he came in wearing hash around his neck and showing off a little bit, and at the same time delivered every time. You know what I mean? Like every time he'd show pictures, you'd be like, "How are you doing this so clean, so nice, so big?" It was like, and it was always because the way I looked at it was. And I've been to Colombia now, and I feel like Colombia is like the Texas of South America in the sense of like we go big, we go hard, we just fucking make the shit bang, bang, and we don't fuck around. Like there's no small, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of
no small,
and it was always interesting to see. And then when he came over, he went to all the Mila. He hooked up with Mila, which is awesome to see the Dabaju come all the way around circle. But they hooked up with Mila and went around to all the shops, and she showed them around, and they made she had like a hash menu on her place at the Pollinator, so she'd sell seeds from the different people who made particular hash strains, and so we had stuff that was in there, and he basically went to her, said, I need hash strains, and so she said okay, and they got all the 135 strains, I think was around the amount. Took them all back there, grew them all out, documented the whole thing. You guys had, did you guys have Jorge come down?
It was Jorge. I had the honor of being the editor of the article, but Jorge was the author of the article, and they had washing machines in the wild.
What's funny, Danny? That maybe this is something you don't know. Jorge never visited Colombia back then. He visited Colombia later, but when he does the article, all the action and all the content was created by him as a writer. Like I risked my life in the mountains of Colombia and this and that, but he never went to Colombia. So that article, people love it. And I think you guys repeat it in High Times or 5 or 6 different times. And I love it. I feel very proud of the Colombian Green article.
Yeah.
Well, the most important part was that you really tested the genetics for your climate, and so you could see side by side all the different plants and how they turned out.
And then the funny part is
actually, Adam, I don't know if you remember during the High Times Cup in 2004, I say to all the audience that the outcome of that thing.
Yep. Oh yeah, I remember.
Have 3 on the top 5.
Yeah.
And Arjan until today, don't forgive me for that one.
Yeah.
He reminded he still hated it, He still would joke with me.
Of course.
Arjan and I are good friends.
Of course he hates it.
Motherfucker, you stabbed me in the back that day.
You're telling the truth. That was the problem. Is you were telling the truth. And the thing that came out, and this is what's funny, that you were the editor, right? And somebody somewhere along the line inverted all the names, because it said the top 10 strains in ascending order are Greenhouse was at the top, you know what I mean? And then do it all the way down at the bottom, THCs. And I was in small letters and they were in big letters. And I was like, so somebody made this thing and really fucking didn't like me and really wanted this to be greenhouse at the top. So I'm sure he called ahead and said, "Fuck that guy."
Not in the first article though.
No, definitely. Like he said, it got reprinted like 5 times, and so
they reprinted it because it's it's such good content for them.
And so in the end, it was I think it was Sage. I think it was Sage, Heavy Duty Fruity, Chocolate Chunk, and Stinky Pinky maybe or something. I forget.
That's not right.
There was a few. MK Ultra. No, MK Ultra killed it. Yeah. And that was the thing and that's the only thing that I was always a little bit. I wouldn't say I was ever pissed at you, Gato, but I was a little sad. Is that Nicole never got told that there was an MK Ultra cross, and then that became.
Fucker, always say it.
I know, but it became a DNA thing, and I know but wait a minute, DNA's selling Nicole, and I
always recognize you, motherfucker.
No, I know you. I know you do. But because DNA sold the seeds, I was always like, wait a minute, that's MK Ultra. How come they're selling that Nicole Kush thing? What's going on here? Like that should be.
In Morocco, they owe you a big commission because Moroccans love it. Moroccans and every fucking shop in Amsterdam have it.
That's funny. No,
that would be the ultimate conspiracy when they do a genetic test and find out that everything's MK Ultra.
Right. That would be true conspiracy at that point. Well, the funny thing was you showed me photos at the time, which I've never seen. Like at that point in time, I'd never seen that many plants. And you were like, I was looking at the picture and you're like, yeah, that's all MK Ultra crosses. And I'm just like, wow, like that's like 50,000 plants in a valley in Colombia. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, that's pretty awesome to see. Because that's one of the nice things about doing all breeding projects is seeing people take it to real numbers and real places. Then you see patterns you never saw. Like I saw guys in South Africa grow the Sage Master, which is the Sage, which is a Osage times 93 Master Kush, and literally looks like picture perfect plants all the way down the line. You're just like, wow, that's fucking amazing. But then they all had mold problems. You know what I mean? So you learn big problems and big successes because you looked at the farm next to him and it was like a big, like the little tiny nothings, you know.
And I have to say, brother, that was a really honest test. We do a harvest festival after the harvest of the 120 strains, and like 40 people get together in a house. We have massage, girls, sushi, like 4-day party.
Sounds like our studio.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Wow. We have it really was a voted thing, and it was honest. You know, you and I were not even that close back then. We become friends.
No, I didn't even know you were. No, I didn't know you were doing it. Yeah, exactly. You came after.
Arjun still believe that you pay me or something like that, but
no,
it really was a winner. THC back.
Well, in the end, I think the two things you said, which made me like proud, as you said, they were the easiest to manicure and the most resin. And I was like, well, that's
mold resistant, heavy nuts.
And I was like, well, that's all you really care about, right? Well, those are the main things.
That's how we change That's how we change the discussion. Humidity. We make it about that. When you're marketing genetics, you market it with mold resistant.
We always try. I mean, we always try to find those things.
High terps. You know, the THC.
It's not just words.
Get it out.
Right? No, for sure. And that's the thing is you always were doing the real deal. That's what I loved about Gato. It was like, okay, and if you didn't hear from him for a while, you knew he was doing something big in somewhere else. And so you were like, it's somewhere else in the world.
Then we arrived with the Meximeld that the DNA boys do know is weed, but that was made in Mexico with also a lot of your genetics, and it was fun.
It's all MK Ultra, man.
I know,
with like a meat grinder.
Yeah, the meat grinder days. Right? That was he came in. Yeah, they came in with the meat grinder and sort of squished it all out. And
I have to say, it was Mila who gave me the trick. He tell me in Goa she buy a lot of hash and put it all through the meat grinder to make it just one quality. So I tried it in Mexico and it works. And we arrived to Europe and everybody loves it.
Let's not overlook that. They put it through the meat grinder and squished it all out.
No, it was, and it's interesting because if there was a little more heat involved, you would have been.
It was just because we have.
It would have been rosin.
It would have been rosin. You were like, oh, we were one step away from rosin. We were just
to make one even color and to make it all look similar. Just run it through the meat grinder.
Yeah,
gets a nice texture, and people love it in Europe because they recognize this Sarah's texture, and it was something rare because of it bubbles. It was great.
But there was it was one of those ones where it was like the bubble burst at really quick of that one too. It was like now there's too much fucking meat grinder swag. Yeah, I was like,
well, you just need a large amount.
Once again,
meat grinder swag.
Yeah, there was too much.
Remember, it's almost 20 years ago, so we were pretty advanced for back then.
Yeah.
If we're calling shit cookies versus meat grinders, I'm in.
No, when it's Soma left Eugene in '93.
But you were down in, I guess you were down in Chile too, right? Or
We do it here in Colombia, and now it's Brazil love it. You know, Brazil and Argentina has a lot of Argentinian kind of descendants, so they love hash and smoke it with tobacco like Europeans. So it's still arriving, that meat grinder hash. Brazilian is still loving it.
it's still happening. They're still grinding.
Still happening, yeah. Brazil
That's funny.
did it all.
I just
That's
want
funny.
to move there. Didn't you ever just want to move there?
No, I mean,
I don't know.
see ya.
You're leaving the show?
She's leaving. She's leaving us now.
You know, Danny, it's good to see your face because you bring me lots of memories and good times you have since I was a teenager. And you know, you are.
Andy just gave you a big shout out.
So much.
Andy just said, flat.
You're always in the middle of good moments, I think, for all of us. You remember
Agreed.
good and fun times for all of us.
Much respect, man. That's
Big love, brother. Big respect for you too.
Oh, that makes me feel really good to hear.
He's one of the guys you see after you
Because
get the trophy.
I forgot all those times.
I think he's so cute.
So you
that he
It used to be
actually
fun.
said
Now
it.
it's not that fun, but it used to be really fun.
No, but you're reminding me of the fun times.
We're good.
The good days.
The good old days.
You still in high times, Danny? You still in high times?
No, I'm with a different magazine now for 2 years called Northeast Leaf Magazine, independent magazine here in the Northeast.
The only magazine left on the planet.
can't
there's 4 magazines left, and Danny's working for one of them.
Do we want to give them a plug though to entice them to send you to Vegas?
Oh
to
yeah,
come
shout
hang
out
Northwest Leaf.
Listen.
Everybody listening right now, go to what is it? Leaf.com or what's the website?
The magazine site is leafmagazines.com.
Magazines.
We also really
We're
push
worldwide.
the
You got to get the
print
worldwide.
magazine.
Why didn't you get the worldwide?
Really?
You can
They
read
had
it
to
online for free.
They couldn't pick a smaller domain for that? Leafmagazines.com. Okay. Go to leafmagazines.com.
We're independent.
Worldwide.
Nice one.
We're not
gonna
corporation.
Spread the love here and let the people know.
Well,
Yeah, for
send them
sure.
all a note and say
Yeah.
it would be great if you
And you're
sent
invited,
Danko
by
to
the way,
Vegas.
brother. Anytime you want to come and cover some of the Colombian situation, black or white, whatever, for the magazine or just for holiday, you have a home and a family here. All of you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
Danny's packing
amazing.
his
I've never
bags.
been to South America. I would love to go. I would love
It's
to.
nice, brother.
Yeah.
Adam's been here with my brother Charlie in Santa Marta. It's one of the nicest spots.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll put
Nice.
it
Well,
on
is
my-
it sunny down there in Santa Marta? Can you look at Danko? I mean, he gets sunburn.
Yeah, he might need some
I'll
zinc.
be all right.
They get some
No,
zinc
I'll
on
be
your
all right.
eyes.
The whole year.
But there's sunblock.
I'll be all right. I'm coming.
Do you have a Speedo for him?
Oh yeah, he only wears speedos, by the way. That's his
Yeah,
sole
Charlie
hero.
has a tiger.
Tiger, nice, perfect. Tiger stripes is speedos.
You definitely got to get him in a Speedo.
Well, cool. Are you doing stuff with Carlos? You guys putting out some?
Yeah, we're always hanging out and doing stuff together.
I'd imagine so. I'd imagine if you had enough, if you have enough bandwidth.
You gotta visit. We're getting some of the Bubbleman's big machines for next year. I'm doing big grossing stuff. So
Is it the Helix? Is it the Helix or whatever it's called? Which one's the one that he does?
No, the W2000, the Whistler Tech.
The Whistler. Oh yeah, Whistler Tech. That's it. Yeah, nice.
Any plans on coming over to the States?
I think I'm going to the Legends. Mark invited me, and for the Emerald also. We're gonna
It's in
be there. So
December.
I'm gonna stay 2 weeks there.
Nice.
Well, plan on coming to Colorado for at least be here on one Friday.
Yeah, come on through,
Come
bro.
to the studio.
Come hang
For
out.
sure, brother.
If you come all the way up to, if you come all the way up there, you might as well stop by.
If he came here right now, he would think he'd be freezing.
Oh, he knows.
Freezing cold.
He knows
I
what's
am
up.
freezing.
That's why we do.
Amsterdam. I survived
Yeah,
Amsterdam.
That's why we do winter jackets, bro. We don't, no
Yeah,
issues.
Time in
My
Amsterdam.
headlamp.
Where's my? You have it.
I know it's in my car. I gotta get it.
Yeah, we got the winter.
Oh, I
we-
gotta visit you, brother, for sure. I gotta see Nick and the place. Believe me, I gotta go this year.
nice one.
Nice, brother. Nice to see you guys. Send
Yep.
you all the love.
Andy
from Colombia.
Andy sends his love also.
So nice.
Nice to see you, Danny. Nice to see you guys.
Peace out.
Great to see you, Gato.
Hey, so that was my Halloween costume. We're
Not bad.
shaped.
Yeah, good job. That was very amazing. Perfect example. Nice. And
Shape shifting skills.
who you doing any collabs with Black Tuna now? And I'm imagine you're all. I can imagine you got all sorts of fun things.
You know, we like to keep it simple but very family oriented. So over here we only work, you know, for example, with Gato, we work with Colombian Exotics, which is Mauro. And we work with, you know, a couple other people in Colombia. And then we just, right now, we're starting to work with ABF Genetics, Always Be Flowering. And we're starting to work with a whole bunch of stuff, you know, especially in the team, like sourcing a whole bunch of flavors and seeing where the hell we could take things. And like you said, doing, you know, legit testing, running shit, you know, large scale. Indoors,
Well, the nice thing was last time when I was out there checking out your spot, it was like the ability to put males in the ground, put all the males in the ground, and like let them just turn into trees. You know what I mean? And have a whole just zone. You're like, nah, it's fucking nice. You know what I mean? Because it's like they're just established and doing their thing, and that was rare to see spots like that because everything's always just here. It's all sterilized, and you know you don't root into the ground of many spots. You know. So yeah, no, looking good.
So pretty much, yeah. Like it's gonna be a good year for Colombian, like brands and work to get out there. You know.
Well, it's gonna be really. I mean, it's definitely like the turning point of the whole like international economy of cannabis when it happens, like when it really starts flowing, like right, you know, now it might trickle out here and there, like once, who knows if like a little product here or there, but nothing in any kind of scale. And once Germany turns on this taps, it's going to be interesting to see because, you know, it's like a whole new market and it's all pretty, once the lines are free flowing and real, it's like, holy shit, I can't even imagine like, you know, how quickly Colombia will just fill that gap because they allow, you know, that's their thing. So it's like, it's perfect. It's like
they know how to grow crops and grow crops en masse.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, cannabis has always been the blood, and it's just all, it's beautiful too because like from the hash regions I was saying earlier, like that's when things get really interesting because, you know, those things are like, even when you get into Amsterdam, that's the one beautiful thing. You know, you're in a melting pot of spots. But if you don't know what's up, you could be buying bullshit because people can take one hash, turn it into 4 different kinds of hash, just by reworking it in 5 different ways. And so the only way you really know is to go to the spots. And the fact that people from those spots can actually export, you know, into countries like that are pretty uneducated. Like America is like way uneducated on hash. On cannabis, they know what they know, but when it comes to like real, and everybody goes back to Colombia, right? Like it's always Colombian gold or something like that people really remember because they were like truly unique strains that were almost psychedelic at the point, you know what I mean, compared to like what people take, and now it's like, you know, the Mac, or there's a few strains out there that claim or whatever, but at the same time, who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? It's like, it's so hard.
Yeah, Colombian strains and you guys know, because you guys been around, you know, you guys actually been with.
Which is weird because it was the most prevalent thing out there. And then all of a sudden it was like not talked about almost. It was like kind of lost in the shuffle of, you never heard about it too much as a breeder. It was always like Thai, Afghan, Mexican. That was pretty much the majority of the genetics out there. It was like, and it was like, it was either TAM, which would be like Thai heavy, you know what I mean? Or it'd be ATM, or it'd be like, yeah, there was very, very limited sort of resources there. But Colombian, yeah, it was just weird. It kind of got lost in the matrix there.
Yeah, it got lost in the matrix for sure. And it's, you know, probably the you know, our own fault not knowing what the hell we had and losing it quickly. Mm-hmm. But now, that's the only thing we have is like whatever the people that were around could tell us, you know, about people who were growing it in the 60s and 70s, you know, when we bring them today to like the new type of grows, you know, you have old men who are like 50, 60 that are working the lands and that are saying, oh yeah, this smells just exactly like the one I saw when I was 18-year-old, the one that my, you know, grandfather grew, my father grew, because they're the real OG marimberos, you know, they're the farmers.
Hey, so J-Lo got her first. J-Lo got her first garden in '62. She knows what you're talking about.
Way back.
Way back
Exactly.
in the day.
Your previous life.
Fuck
So every
these
time,
guys.
Ooh, damn.
so every time I see one of those
Just relax,
feedbacks,
bro.
it's, we're pointed in the right direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that those are the type of things, like they always, they speak at a very elemental level, but it's so elemental that it's very easily understood. So they're like, yeah, those were the plants that, during the winter season, people would pay less for them because they would come out black or brown. But during, the 8 months of, dry season that we have, because they would feed them through the rivers, right? They would just like make the water from the rivers go onto the fields, and they would feed massive amounts of acres, right? And they would, they would dry right on the stem, right there on the field. They would just they would take the leaves off, and they would just leave them on the stem, and they would cut the water uptake on the stem, right? So actual buds would dry right on the stem, and they would pick them up, and they had 8 months out of the year where the bud actually, got to the United States and to Europe, and it was yellow. It wasn't black, and it wasn't brown. So that's why, like, the Colombian gold and all that thing, they keep on talking, because it was really like, we used to look at it like crops. Like, out of the 3 stations that we have, you have 8 months where you have the finest quality, that they pay the most for. And then the rest of the seasons, you have 2 qualities that they pay less for. So really, like, the psychedelic one was really the Colombian gold, because, it had the less degradation. So you probably had, like, since they used to cut it early, you probably had a lot of
THCV and then something.
Yeah, you had a THCA, THCV. You had a lot of acid cannabinoids that still hadn't turned into CBN. That still hadn't get it degraded. So I think that's why people, always remember that as being, the best party smoke, the best uplifting smoke, the best laughing smoke. Because it really got to the people's hands in a very psychedelic way, right? Like the THC and the trichomes were perfectly, psychedelic. If you want to have a more psychedelic high, you chop a little early. You don't let them get too amber on you. And if you're between, those milky buds and transparent, you're going to get a real...
It's more, more euphoric, almost like a euphoric kind of high more than anything. Like bing, bright, kind of a bright thing.
Exactly. So they had it down to an agronomy. They didn't even think about it as a scientific aspect. They just knew that, the bananas are better grown and better sold when they're green, so they can get to the grocery stores yellow.
Yep.
So it was like they knew exactly when to cut it and how to, export it for it to get, to the hands of the people and how they would enjoy it the best.
which is an art.
Which people in Hollywood.
Which is an art in itself, though, for sure, because it's like, that's the Colorado problem. It's so dry here that nothing can go anywhere, which is probably saves its ass in the long run, because you're like, it's too dry, forget about it.
Anybody who's betting against Colombia is a losing bet. You guys are going to crush it, just as the sugar industry, just as most of the vegetables grown around the equator. It's the crops that are grown there. You grow it very well, and that's if I'm a betting man, in 20 years, the global economy is driven just as the sugar market is controlled. It'll be a force to be reckoned with. Prove me wrong in 20 years if I'm still around, Mark.
100%. And the cannabis market, I always compare it to, champagne and like fine wine. You have your massive wineries that produce your $5 carton wines, and you have your bottles that are $1,000, and both of them have markets, and both of them sell, and both of them, can make a living. And with us, it's always like the denomination of origin, so you can't call champagne unless it comes from Champagne, the region of Champagne. You can't call it Cali weed unless it comes from Cali. You can't call it, Colorado, funk unless it's from over there. You can't call it like, New York diesel unless it's from New York. So it's the same thing. I think that at the end of the day, we all have to sell our origin, right? California has to still be amazing. Colorado has to still be amazing. People in Mexico got to have their strains and be amazing at it. Colombia's got to have its strains and be amazing at it. And we just have to enjoy just how we enjoy Chile wine and Argentinian wine and Italian wine. And then also California wine. we got to be able to enjoy, you know, different region cannabis that's made by the best brands, right?
Yep.
So I think
awesome.
that's where the world is going for. I think, yeah, it's going to be a commodity, but also people that put in the work and the family and the story and the actual, you know, differential, they're going to have a spot, you know.
That's awesome.
I love that.
So we got to do ads and all that good stuff and pay the bills. But totally, if you want to jump back in like about 20 minutes, if you were hanging out, we're going to do another hour, and that's going to be on Patreon. It's going to be more private.
But he kind of just described why Ozo will always have a spot in the coffee world. There'll be Starbucks, there'll be Folgers and all this shit, but for the ones who really take pride in what they're doing, there will always be a market for them. You know, what can I say?
If you're lucky enough to live in some of the most beautiful places in the world and grow great weed, then yes. I agree. Lucky for you do.
But it all starts with good soil.
So we're gonna do our ads. Danny's gonna help us because Danny knows all of our ad stuff because he's hanging out. He knows everything about the industry. That guy, right, Danny?
Right.
Danny, do you know about Build a Soil, Danny? Do you know anything about buildasoil.com, Danny?
I do, and I truly do believe in living soil, and I think they're the company to go to when it comes to soil, and they don't pay me a penny.
Wow! Now they might.
Products.
Now they might
Products.
that you came across so well.
They can always sponsor Grow Bud Yourself, but yeah, that's a great company.
2 weeks from now, all of our sponsors are going to be.
Illuminar.
No, not yet, Illuminar. Relax
Oh,
for
I'm
that,
sorry.
bro.
Okay, Build a
we have
Soil.
we
got to give away a light.
Yeah, we have a whole light to give away too. So don't worry, our show's going long no matter what.
People say it's hard to do living soil in
you
containers indoors.
Yeah,
and it is hard to do living soil in containers indoors.
It's really hard.
But if you use Build a Soil, you definitely get a step up there.
It's easier.
It makes it easier.
Yes, sir. And then you go to 855-877-SOIL if you want to contact them direct. Have talked to Jeremy. You have to do the done deal through that way, and he will be taking care of Brent.
He will take care of
Brent. If you're listening,
done deal.
It's a deal. It is a done deal.
Yeah.
So check them out. Buildasoil.com.
Buildasoil.com. 855-877-SOIL. Yeah.
.com, bro. Calm down.
Your medical
Calm
patient.
the fuck down.
You can go to Platte Valley Dispensary right across the street from the aquarium, or you can go to Green Farms Med down in Colorado Springs. You can buy JW's organic flower there for $150 an ounce out the door. Just mention the done deal. Or if you're a rec patient, you can get 8 grams of apothecary extracts, tropical punch, wax, or sugar for $80, 8 grams out the door. What a deal. Love you guys.
That's right. Danny would be running down there if he was lived closer, but it's a
Green
little
Farms
far.
Med.
I can't skate that. We can't skate there.
He can skate there.
Come on, Danny.
Best coffee.
Come on, Danny.
Best coffee in all of Colorado. They buy beans local across the globe, have it shipped green, and they roast it here. Look for the Peru. It's on the shelf for like 2 weeks, and that's it. It'll be gone.
That was good.
Okay? You got to try it. It's fantastic coffee, made with love. In fact, I'm just going to start the rumor. They probably will be in the studio next Friday.
No, thank God.
After 3
Are they
years.
gonna make us coffee?
Oh shit! I have a whole
Do they
fucking
do
gigantic thing
nice
of coffee in the
decaf?
car, like huge.
What?
Do they do nice
Huge.
decafs?
I tell
Yeah.
you,
I'm
I
bringing
need
some
a decaf.
Kirkland.
I
Yeah.
haven't touched it. So if you guys want to share,
What?
He's trying to share his
I
beans.
already
with
have
you.
coffee.
I am loaded down.
caffeinated.
All right, let's do it. Ozo Coffee.
OzoCoffee.com.
Dave's
Enter
first.
Done Deal
Dave's
at checkout.
first. That was Dave's first job when he got here. He was like, "I must get Ozo sponsor on. I must
Yeah, because
get them
he's like,
sponsor. I drink so much Ozo coffee. If I don't drink,
I can't stay awake during Adam's fucking 3-hour blur.
Do you remember when Mark didn't drink coffee?
Yeah, he was totally lame about it. He was like, "Oh, I don't care. Coffee sucks." And now look at him.
Yeah, now he's drinking all the
Dave's
time.
diet consists of only coffee and
Only because
donuts.
Ozo tastes so good. That's the reason why. And guess who's the best marketer for Ozo coffee in the world?
Dave.
Vinny. Vinny gets tens of thousands of hits
Yeah, he
on
does.
Ozo.
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
They started asking him if he wanted to.
They're like, "How do you do it? What are you doing? How? I don't."
He's
get
going
it."
to start charging him to make
I keep
reels.
losing
He's
followers.
the real master.
Can you guys give me
If you
more
follow,
followers?
if you can find him, if you can see him, he's very hard to see because he's got like
He's got gabagool.
He's invisible.
Yeah, tell me your tricks.
All right. Ozo Coffee.
Ozo Coffee.
Ozo Coffee.
Oh, shit.
So here's what you got to do. You got to go to greenbros.com
And purchase a harvest bucket.
If you enter Dunn Deal at
10% off,
checkout,
10%.
you get 10% off the harvest bucket, 5% off of everything else.
Just look at this thing.
How much is the
It's a
bucket?
Pull the G light
bucket.
up.
It's $350 normally, right?
What's a G light? You want?
No. It comes to like $380 with tax. You're gonna pay $350 something
Yeah,
after
that's
you
not
get your
bad.
money off. It's worth it. But here's what we need
It's
of you.
nicely made, even though it's like a Homer bucket of trimmers.
It's an
Rosendogs
amazing
was
product.
just crushing with that bad boy or doing something with it.
What was he doing? He putting his weenie in there.
Oh, come on.
Don't do it, Rosendogs.
Here's
I know
what
you
we
want
need.
to. I know you just can't
G-Light.
stop. You can't stop.
Why?
And with the drill.
So
Where's it at?
Oh yeah,
look
don't
for
give him a
products
drill.
G Light.
In trimmers?
No, it's a grinder. All machines.
Wow.
It'll be in there somewhere.
It's the shit.
Anyway,
they're high
help
quality.
us out.
High quality.
If you are living in a state that has a rec market, a robust rec market, and you know processors, or you walked into a dispensary and you saw that they have pre-rolls, get them in touch with us. We have the G Light
Right there. Go back.
grinder.
Model G right
The
there.
G-Wagon.
No, we have the light.
The light.
Well,
But anyway-
I don't see no light.
You have to Google it.
Google it,
It
brother.
doesn't- We have a G Light for sale. Okay, it's $13,000 retail value. If you're a company, we'll make you a very good deal.
But we need to sell it like
ASAP.
yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
ASAP.
I found it.
You found it.
There she
There it
goes.
is.
Dave's post keeps
There she
showing up first on my LinkedIn.
There you go. So come on, we need your help. Help us out. We'll throw you a bone. We'll give you a free Patreon membership for a year.
Oh wow, look at
Trying to
that. Now
shower
it's
in
worth it. Now it's worth it.
That's
No, but if you have the right size
like
facility,
$60.
if you have the right size facility, we get you this definitely at a substantial reduction.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Danny's going to sell it for us.
greenbros.com.
Danny he's going to hustle it for us. Danny, get out there. Make some money.
Hook up a
Yeah, man.
Shake your money maker, Danny. Come
At
on.
greenbros.com.
Pick it, pack it, fire it up.
And get one of these harvest buckets, too.
Oh, yeah.
man.
Have you seen
Harvest
these buckets yet?
Look at this thing.
That
2 weeks
really
are on the
is
show.
great.
2 weeks they'll be on Danny's show.
Then
Just
Dave
check them
can't-
out
then,
because we don't know how not to do that.
Adam won't have any trim parties anymore.
Yeah,
He
I
just
was
has a
about
whole
to
bunch
say.
of buckets.
I have
Yeah.
buckets for
Yeah.
friends.
He just
Yeah, every friend is a bucket. Each bucket equals a friend
Yeah,
that
it's
says
like-
they're going to come over and trim
you
for
give
you.
the bucket
That's
a
what
name.
that's what they should be marketing it as.
That's true.
Why need friends? Why do you need? How many friends you got? 6. Okay, you have 6 buckets. No more friends, and you're way
You
better.
just described Mark's life. Holy
You're just how much those friends? How much weed are they smoking of yours? Oh, all of it.
All
Yeah,
of
there you
it.
go.
Yeah.
Harvest bucket.
Yeah.
Who's
Okay.
next?
That's a-
Colorado and Oklahoma's concentrate-focused dispensary, Apothecary Farms.
Oh shit! What's going on with that?
He
Oh,
was.
turn
These
up,
guys
turn
were
up.
the
Never gets
original.
past. You see how it never gets past that?
Yeah.
I know.
It just
see?
rides-
It just
it's like a traffic jam
like
right over
stops
by
over there.
traffic jam. She doesn't ever get to do a dab.
Give me.
'cause- and then I never even see it. No,
He
no, I
doesn't
just,
even get it.
What, I
He's
showed
been
it.
smoking it all night long.
Has she? Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Thanks for
My,
watching,
Apothecary
Dad.
my
extract
ring
Thanks, Dad.
died, you
Thanks, Dad.
a-holes.
ApothecaryExtracts.com. Here in Colorado, in Pueblo, Colorado Springs, in Denver. You ask for the
This
Done
one was
deal.
good.
You
Try
get
this
a,
one. Try
a
this one.
gram of ambrosia and an infused joint for $25.
Yeah, and they got some crazy deals anyways. Like,
even open.
besides
What
the
is
Done
it?
deal, you can just go down there. They're selling
Points.
those ambrosia vessels right now, and it's a gram of
Ambrosia
oil.
Breshels.
Ambrosia
Vessels.
Ambrosia vessels.
Specials.
They're vessels.
Did somebody
It's
charge
a
my rig?
disposable vape cartridge with 1 gram of oil in it, and you can recharge them. But yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So they're kind of awesome. I just picked one up.
Apothecary Extracts.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Okay.
Yes,
Numb
sir.
nuts.
Yes, sir.
So go to
Nuts.
numbnutsco.com, enter Done Deal at checkout. You get 20% off your CBD peanut butter order. If you're a medical patient, you can find them at dispensaries in town. They're 1,000 milligrams. Fantastic peanut butter. I'd even if it wasn't medicated.
I was really impressed with the
Wibbity, wibbity,
flavor
wibbity.
and the consistency. It was delicious.
Delicious.
Hempen. Daco.
So I have been using hempen for, I want to say 2 months now.
How long have you been hemping?
Catch him DJing
Is
tomorrow.
that 8 weeks?
Go to hempenco.com. Enter Done Deal at checkout. You get 22% off your order. or if you're a family member of Vinny's, you get more.
The Vindicator.
Don't be temping.
Vindicator.
Get your
It is
hempin'.
fantastic. I'm going to say I've tried 3 flavors: mango, pumpkin spice, and mocha. And mocha is my favorite.
He would be that
They're
kind of guy.
1,300 milligrams a bottle. You can have it shipped to you anywhere in the United States.
What's your favorite?
Bada bing, bada boom.
What's your favorite?
Mocha.
Honestly?
14 or Boulder.
14erboulder.com. You can place a pre-order, or you can just go down and shop. You can take a look. We've been getting their rosin. It's amazing. They have a really an amazing flavor right now, lemon face. But Mark and Vinny got those tonight. So head on down there. Tell them you heard about it on the Adam Dunn Show. I'm sure they'll take care of you with papers and little booklets and whatnot. And I don't know, maybe you can browbeat them into a discount.
14er Boulder. Fishheadfarms.com.
Fishheadfarms.com. No fish are harmed in the harvesting of their shit. The diapers are taken off, squeezed out, all good. Bada bing, bada boom. Put it on your plants.
Bada
Dilute it.
bing, bada boom. Is that a recurring thing now? Is that what's happening?
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah,
I'm
we
trying to
just
get
need
through
to make a
these quick
sample.
because we have to give away a lamp.
Yes, we do. You're right.
So
right,
fishheadfarms.com.
We love you,
Enter
Tommy.
Done Deal at checkout.
Tommy's a man.
25% off your
Tommy.
order.
Okay, bye.
Those potatoes, those tomatoes are made.
Turpwise.
Here's how you get the deal here. Say it once.
Say it once.
Don't
Say it loud.
enter a promo code. Go to
Do not do it.
turpwipes.com/donedeal
Yes,
and it'll
sir.
calculate it for you.
Get it.
Thank you very much.
Get a subscription.
It worked.
Next.
I've been using it.
It works.
Faster.
Telly approved. That's all we need to know. Culture Biologics. These guys are. I've been using it for like the last 2 rounds. Amazing products, and they're just getting their shit together as far as getting a new warehouse and able to start putting out stuff middle of this next month. So if you've been waiting on anything, or if you haven't seen it yet in the shops, it's because they're about to blanket the entire country with inoculates. Now they have some of the best easy to use, fully organic products that you will not fail your tests, which is what we're always bitching and moaning about.
Yep.
Because if you're an organic grower, you're getting kicked in the nuts right around now because you're like, I'm just trying to be the cleanest guy ever, and you're like, you're a dirty fucking piece of shit. Get out of here with your dirty crap. This is easy to use nanoparticle stuff. Danny Danko knows nothing about it. He's so in the dark right now. He's like, what? New products? Nanoparticles? What's he talking about? This is crazy. Organic can't be, bro. Telling you. This is the shit, Danny. This
Can't
is the future.
be.
This is the can't be.
Oh, I know all about that.
Go to Cultured Biologics, enter
I
Done
be
Deal.
telling the truth.
You'll get a discount.
Boom. How many bees can I throw?
All right, here we go. No, seeds here now. We got to do seeds here now first.
Seeds here now.
Seeds here now. Seeds here now. Seeds here now.
Seeds here now.
Enter
No,
Done Deal
not
at
so
checkout.
fast.
You get 10% off your order.
Okay.
Okay, 10%. Seedsherenow.com.
Calm, like
Calm.
calm
That
down.
was hilarious.
Damn, look at all these
Y'all got some
breeders.
good weed.
Look at all these breeders.
He has
can't even-
over 70 now.
You can't even do it fast. Look at how.
Can't even do
It's
it fast.
impossible. Your
Go
whole
slower.
scroller just gets all scrolliosis.
Ew, don't go
I
faster.
got ethos.
I got scoliosis.
I know that's
I
right.
mean, I do this every week.
Go
It's
back
a
to Ethos
work
for
hazard.
J-Lo.
Hey.
Go.
Yeah, this should be getting work. This should hazard pay on this thing.
Yeah, my
So
finger.
much scrolling.
Oh, I saw the
Look
beard.
at all this scrolling, dude.
Let's talk
not-
about top
Look at that.
dog.
JJ
Right down there.
Top dog.
Hanging in.
Also, don't forget.
Miles. We love you, Miles.
SHNauctions.com.
Auctions.
This is where you're going to find the seeds that nobody bitched about.
We're going to be hanging out in Oklahoma in a couple weeks.
Are
or
we?
month, I should say. A month.
Going to the
Month and a half.
A month and 2 days. 3 days.
You know what that means, gentlemen.
What?
Oklahoma?
You're going to go. This
We're
is your,
eating
this is your new look for
breakfast
the-
together in Oklahoma.
Is that what this means?
Macaroni.
Okay.
All right.
Who are we going to be having breakfast with?
I don't
You
know.
or
Now Mark
this you
can't
or
go
that you? Which
because
you
he's
are we
going to
having?
see.
The hair up you or the not hair up? Is it hair up?
I'm going to keep my
J-Lo,
hair
when she
down.
puts her hair up, it's
I'm going to
on.
keep my hair down.
Spicy. All right, so here we go. Mark, make the call.
All right.
Go faster.
Here we go.
Oh, I hope you have that.
Today I went to show my friends my new haircut, and they were all like, "Stop! Pull up your pants!"
Wow. Is that you?
Hello,
Are we speaking with Caleb?
this is he.
You're on the Adam Dunn Show.
Welcome, Caleb.
Oh, how you doing?
Oh, you better be scrambling for that knowing the word of the month right now.
Oh shit, I am too.
Oh, you know, I was already looking for it there up until today. It finally popped up. So I'm ready to go.
Nice.
Oh wow!
What, you're gonna bless us?
Oh, you want to just
nice of you.
You want to get off the phone really quick with us? You don't want to stay on for a little while? You know the word, and that's it. Bing, bang, boom. You want?
You don't pretend you don't know it now. Oh wait, I don't know.
Chat gang, help us out.
Wow.
I didn't even get to eat any tomatoes while you're doing it.
Do it. Tell us the word. And
What's the word of the month?
Got it.
Node or nodes?
That's right.
Is that it, Mark?
Mark's got it. He knows all the words.
Are you sure it's not pushing past par?
No, it's not pushing past.
No.
It's got to be nodes.
Perfect.
Wow.
It's got to be.
That's deadly.
Can
I
we
appreciate
just-
that. That's
Since we
awesome.
don't know,
And if
we're
it's
just going to
not
say yes.
Mark's fault, and he's going to owe you the light anyway. So that's how it works around here. Mark.
If it's
too
not
long.
nodes, Mark has to pay for the lamp.
Mark, you're the one in charge of all words.
I know.
I looked at it and I think he's right.
I think so.
Okay.
But they make it hard. I'm telling you, it's not easy. They're like they're not
Mike
making
Gross says
Getting
ding,
more and
ding,
more
ding.
challenging.
Micro said ding, ding, ding.
Micro
Caleb,
said, oh,
congratulations.
Micro says
ding, ding, ding.
That's all that matters.
Intermodal spacing.
What is it called?
Internodal spacing.
Nodes.
Very
yes,
important.
internodal spacing.
That's where your
See, that's what I mean. They make
parasites
it complicated.
live
Like if that's the
and
actual term, that's a lot of. Nodes is fine. Nodes.
Okay.
works.
Studies, you know.
This is great. Sorry about that.
Lucky.
I forgot about that part. I picked someone.
Glad that you were.
Mark
gone
is
last
going to
week.
get your information.
Teamwork.
Yeah, I will send the email right now. And
Dave's in
And
there.
Cheddar Bob, you will
Yep,
be.
You
will know I have nothing
Patreon
to.
member.
What's
Say that
now?
one more time.
He's a
I'm a
Patreon member.
This is, you're speaking to Your Dad Grows.
Well, the tagline was "Third time is a charm."
That's the guy we like.
And
Yeah.
I like numerology. I
All
like
right, my friend.
numerology.
Well, thanks for
Thank you so
being a
much.
good supporter.
Thank
and
you.
We love you.
Well, fuck yeah, dude.
All the
Yeah.
nice
Thank you for
things.
giving up your Friday nights and keeping us to trouble.
Oh man, I'm not gonna give you my next Friday night though.
Mark, say it to Mark.
Just kidding.
This a-hole.
Thank you, man.
Why didn't we ask Brian
No, thank you
Vicente
very
about
much.
ways of
Right on,
terminating
man.
Terminating our
Daddy
employees.
grows.
Good night, you guys.
Right on. Peace
Thanks,
out.
Caleb.
dude.
Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, bye-bye.
No, Daddy grows.
Thank you, Dad Grows.
Dad,
Your dad grows.
Your dad. No, your dad grows.
Your dad grows.
No, your dad grows.
No, your dad.
Whatever,
Your
dude.
dad grows.
That's fucked up.
Anyway, that's cool.
totally fucked up.
It's always
That's
good.
cool.
That's cool.
All right, let's go to Patreon. Say
Let's
goodnight,
do it.
Gracie.
All right, guys, we're gonna see you on that side. I've got
Jesus, dude.
I
Yeah.
got somebody
You
coming
gotta
in.
pee or something?
We got somebody on hold. We don't want him to wait. He's in
I gotta
Colombia.
do all
Oh.
these things. I gotta
Danny
do
Danko.
He's on hold. He's not even here no more.
He's going to dial back in.
Oh, he is?
He's
Yeah.
gonna
Just sitting
come,
there, right?
maybe,
I gotta
but I
go
have
back
somebody
in
else
my
coming in
genie
too.
bottle.
Okay, all right.
Secret guest.
He's gonna come back.
Secret guest. Danny Danko, you hanging out? Nah, you got nothing better to do. You're
sorry.
What, you got rid of him?
We're here too. No, we're here.
Oh,
There he is.
I thought they vetoed you. I thought
I'm
they
here.
torpedoed
I'm here.
you. Now you're gonna hang with us?
Hang with us.
Yeah, you have
I think
to.
I'm the one that got you guys on Patreon.
Oh, now you want to cut? Is that what you're about to say?
Credit for
Trying to get a
that.
cut?
I mean,
Wow.
it's a free membership, so
Trying to
I
get a
joined
cut?
Right?
To
Oh,
our face. He said it to our face.
I'm on there
damn.
too.
I'll send you the link to give to
I'm
your
on there
friends if you
too.
want for this week, and we
Yeah.
can send you the link every
Damn.
week.
To my buckets.
I'll
Yeah.
send you the link
Yeah,
every
if
week.
you give me your email address,
Cheap
I will.
bastard. You cheap
You
little
are the
bastard. I'll
best.
send you a link.
It's the artist formerly known as Danny Danko,
Yeah.
now Danny Vinkovetsky at gmail.com.
It's,
I'm gonna put
it's,
my wig on.
it's kind of a
It's a
mouth.
small domain, small email.
Yeah.
Easy done. All right, we'll see you
All right.
guys on
You can
Patreon.
just hang in there. You don't have to
Oh,
go
man.
anywhere because we're gonna.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're just gonna have other people
yeah,
join
this-
us. We're gonna eat cookies now.
Well, I mean,
No,
it
we're
takes
just
me.
gonna
get all
race
crazy
It
and
takes
eat
a
cookies.
second. I have to do stuff on.
Oh,
here.
he's gonna go off for a bit.
I'm gonna win.
No, no, you can hang. Yeah.
You can hang. No, we're gonna. We have 10 minutes. You can go take your horns off, run around the house for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back.
The
on
internet is so
with
bad,
Patreon.
dude. I don't know what's happening.
I know you told us how to do it, but we're doing it our way.
just keep
And our
doing
way
it.
is this way.
You know,
We just
I
keep
love
the
it.
party rolling.
But the YouTube
J-Lo's
is going to shut
drunk.
down.
YouTube's gonna shut down.
Yeah, YouTube's
You
gonna
want me to
shut
send
down.
you a link
And
that
no
you
send you-
chat.
we'll
I
send-
love the chat.
Yeah.
We'll
No,
send
you're
you.
staying
Yeah,
with us.
We'll send you the new YouTube with the new YouTube chat.
all right.
That too. And I'll send
Yeah,
you the-
send them that other email that I send you to everyone.
God, she's freezing.
Yes.
Come on. All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Good
Thanks,
night.
bro. See you.
Say good night.
Good
Be
night.
be good.
Okay.
Be something. Be something.
Top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own.
This is a special question. We don't want to you to smoke genetically modified ganja. I want you to smoke the real thing.
Me?
Want you to smoke the natural herb.
Sweet.
Some call it marijuana.
Sweet.
Some call it sensimilla.
Sweet.
Some call it lamb's bread.
The tea.
And some people call it